That dude, gravitas. Every time I hear that, then we just start fucking around. The gravitas of that intro just gives me. Do you remember the definition of gravitas, Sarah?
It's Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
I know. The balls.
Well,
The
partially. Give you, I'll give you 10. I'll give you partial credit for that. You gotta.
You just explained it. I'm too tired.
It's a heaviness, a melodramatic heaviness, almost like depth and no pun intended. It's like a very serious heaviness to the tone of something.
Okay. Well,
Gravitas.
thank you. I have a lot to change now that I've looked at it again.
There's John O'Reilly going, woo, that opening. John, thank you for all your kindness and support. And don't think I don't fucking see you in that Radio Gunk chat, which I wish I could read every comment, but it's just too much.
You're not in
It's so
charge
good.
of that.
That's why when Bon Jovial does the remaster of it, he emphasizes the chat on the left side, so it's
Mm-hmm.
blown up. Actually, we have a clip from that tonight with Stuttering John talking about the Viper Room. And you'll see Bon Jovial's. I almost asked him on this one because there's a lot of music tinge to this one.
Isn't
Viper
he?
Room,
He's
Part
more
4.
available on Thursdays, though, right?
I think so. I don't know how he is on Friday. I know David is better on Thursday than Friday. I don't know. I think he's better on Thursday than Friday, or he was last time. So I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Anyway, welcome Hooper. Welcome A Smith. Thank you so much, you two, for your undying support every effing week. And of course, Melvin. Melvin, I want to thank you especially for your. I just fucking around. I was looking at our new audio. We're on, what is it, Sarah? Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Podbean, and I'm forgetting something.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one?
Sorry, I was distracted by chat for a second. Oh God, we are on iHeartRadio. I'm gonna repeat you because I was reading. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, but I can't find it. That means we're
Oh,
in.
I know what you're distracted by. I'll
We
get to
mean,
that. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Apple. We are nothing on Apple yet, so I can't find it. Amazon Music.
Yes.
Um, a few others. FM something. Oh,
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I don't know how to what the F. I know exactly. There's because I've been a podcast ophile for a bunch of years, and I remember when I first became privy to that world. It was like Mark Maron, Adam Carolla, Joe Rogan, Bill Simmons, and not much else. There was a lot of comedians who had like that the podcast where they would stare into space and talk to themselves with no guests. So it was like Jim Florentine, Nick DiPaolo, Bill Burr, and that was like it. Not that that was it, but those are the main ones that I would kind of flock to. And then they started to grow. We started Gunk in 2015, May, and you would go to all these places where they were available, and I remember that. And sometimes you could download them, sometimes you couldn't. And it wasn't a YouTube thing at the time. It was
mm-hmm.
strictly audio, and then people decided to go on you and StreamYard developed. It's a weird evolution with all that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For people, little
But anyway,
shows.
I'm sorry, Sarah. Let me just finish this. So Melvin, I wanted to. Melvin wrote a nice review on that Audible, which is it Amazon? Is it the same thing?
Yeah, it's
I was
Amazon.
just
That's what
looking
they
at all the
use.
different things. So Melvin,
Thank you, Melvin.
everybody should do so. Just to embellish it. Just give us just give us a bump. Just want to see. Just want to jerk myself off to myself.
Okay.
Oh,
Whatever
so
you
we
need to
got. I
do.
think this is Richie Albertini, our friend Richie Albertini from the audio we played last week. Who he used to work at the.
Oh.
If this is really him, he worked at the Viper Room. Mary Nacini is a mentally deranged. We all are, Richie. We're all mentally deranged, and I've filed a SAWA restraining order against him, and we've all filed SAWA restraining orders against everyone, Richie. These are criminal reports filed against him in 3 states. He's not credible. Okay, Richie. Well, I assume you are credible, and you listen to our show. I assume with the I haven't. When's the last time you watched the Popeye cartoon with Brutus and
I was
Blue
always
and
bored by
Finn?
it, so I
Okay.
rarely.
Remember we called Howard Alice the Goon for a while.
No.
Alice the Goon was like a sea hag. Was it the sea hag? No,
Okay.
Alice the Goon and the sea hag are two different characters. Howard was the sea hag. The Sea Hag was like some Popeye villain. Anyway, so Richie Albertini, if this is really him, is a Viper Room employee from the heydays of the '90s, and I found a lot of what he said credible. And Mario Nitrini was starting this is like wrestling, Sarah. This is like our Vince McMahon, Ted Turner moment. I guess they hate each other. They're back. I don't know if
I
Nitrini is
don't
a
know. Do
Viper
I even
Room.
want to get involved in this?
Yes, gee, we want to get involved. This is fun stuff. This is how we're gonna get our. I found Richie Albertini's interviews fascinating. About he knows where the bodies are buried, literally with Anthony Fox and and, uh, and Sal Jenko. Richie, I want to know more about if this is you. I want to know more about Sal Jenko and how it all how it all fell apart with Depp. Um, would you agree to do our show next week so we can just kind of this is an interesting booking right in the middle of a show. So we can I know more about you than Sarah does. I'm learning anyway. I'm not an Albertiniophile yet, but I'm learning.
You
And
may be recording something. If you agree, Richie, you may be just doing a pre-recorded thing with ARM. If you
I
agree.
mean that's fine. I mean you don't have to do it live, but I think he would be open to taking live questions from the good people in the chat. The very clever cerebral thread we have in the chat, and I'm getting grilled by John O'Reilly on the stand for Richie Albertini.
Yeah, and Richie, you don't have to copy and paste your.
Oh, he's copy and pasting it.
Yeah. We get it.
The opening could be the music for the Arm autobiography.
I agree.
John O'Reilly. So it's the workings of Arm's mind and body after a night of Kirkland hot dogs, a 20-ounce soda, and Tudor ale. You know what my favorite thing in that Costco soda tap is the. And I know you love this, Sarah. Have you ever had the Lipton raspberry iced tea from the Costco
I've had
soda
every
fountain
brand of
tap?
iced tea.
No, but you know what I'm talking about specifically. Costco has a raspberry Lipton iced tea coming out of the soda machine.
Yes, I've probably had
Oh my
that.
god, I love that. It's one of the best tasting soft drinks ever. And I know
Mhm.
you can do without the sugar and stuff. And I'm sure it is good because Crystal Light tastes an awful lot like that, the one you drink.
Mhm. Richie has agreed. So
Oh, thank you, Richie.
Richie,
Thank you
can
very much.
you email us at thedeppening@gmail.com and ARM will schedule something with you?
Richie, can you answer this at the very least? Do you know the skinny on Sal Jenko and how that all fell apart? Because I'm sure you watched every minute of the trial, and I was shocked how he's ducked the spotlight in all this time, and nobody's given anything on it. If you see, Sal Jenko is on he is on Instagram, and all he does is shill for this cigar company. It's a cigar company, and Sarah, what's it called? The company he claims to not claims, but I guess it's called Live in the Dream, and it's like a catering or an event planning company.
I don't remember.
I gotta know what's.
I think you're
If
right.
anyone doesn't know who Sal Jenko is, he's the co-owner or co-manager of the Viper Room, and he played Blowfish on 21 Jump Street, and he's a very small scene in Donnie Brasco in the very opening. And
Okay.
Richie Albertini worked at the Viper Room in some capacity. I'm sure he knows the Arquette's brother and stuff. And he knows Richie. You sounded pretty credible to me. Now you might have an axe to grind. I don't give a shit. We all have axe to grinds. So I'd love to speak to you, and we could set it up for next week. I would love, love, love to speak to you. I also think you're very articulate. I think you're really well spoken. I was amazed how you have a nice gift of gab and a good command of the language, and you're super articulate. And the broad interviewing you was a soporific bore. I mean, she was
What
just
if that's his friend? Be nice.
I know she's probably a nice chick, but it was go. She'd go from him going, "What do you know about what year is that?" And he would just take the ball and run to the end zone with it. Okay, he was the falling out was behind the $1 million embezzlement. Yeah, I figured it was the money thing, Richie. But I mean, the details about kind of what I want to go with 2004. Is that accurate? I've done some tinkering, and I know way more about this than I should. I want to go with '04. Um, so yeah, we did an Anthony Fox dig, and we don't know obviously. So I assume it's over, as they say, skimming off the till, right?
Mhm.
And who knows? And I'm sure Depp was in a state where he wasn't counting his and when you do the math too, that's post Pirates, so he was rolling in it. I don't think he gave a shit about what the Viper Room was making in 2004.
So, Richie, yeah, email us at thedeppening@gmail.com. Arm will get back to you, and you will get something scheduled with us, either live or pre-recorded, but we will communicate with you
It's
via
so
email and get
funny.
it set up.
It's so funny that we reached out. Mario Retrini reached out. Is it Nitrini with an N?
I think
Reached
so,
out to
yeah.
us, and then I just sent a tweet out, and there's Richie Albertini responding to Mario's tweet. I don't know what feud we're in the middle of, but I mean, hopefully we can get some juicy stories. And I'm not in. I'm not in. You know, you guys can hash it out. I'm I'm I'm
You're the
I'm
middleman.
I'm not the middleman. I'm just gonna take the high road until I know otherwise, or
Okay.
maybe in general. But I can't. I'm looking forward to Richie. I think you're a fascinating dude, and I cannot wait to speak to you. And I'm sure the chat will love you as our first guest. If you're anti-Depp, I know you have an axe to grind with him, and we actually call it like we see it on here. I'm a huge, long time Depp historian, Depp super fan, but I call him out on things I don't like. I hate Marilyn Manson. I hate the Hollywood vampires. I hate some of the film choices he made, but I do think his positives far outweigh his negatives. But I'm sure you'll push back on that. But I am.
That's fine.
We're here for the initially this is for the movies, and this wasn't about the trial, but the trial was so massive we couldn't avoid, so we had to lean into it at some point.
Yep.
He's going to give us a statement, Sarah, about Anthony Fox.
Okay.
I love that. That's like Mark Harris talking about, and I have a statement, and I have a statement.
So let's get to the first topic. Anyway, so we haven't done the show in a week. How has your week been, Mr. Arm? It feels like even though we did a show this
We
morning,
did
I'm
a
so
lot of
effing
radio gunk
tired.
this week. I have a massive migraine. I had a decent week. I'm still toiling over the fantasy football. I need, as of now, probably about 3 for the fantasy football start. I've delayed it 1 week. I'm not going to do it again. I'm too much heavy lifting. I got to walk people through. It wasn't even my idea to commission it. I stepped up and volunteered, and now I'm chasing people down for the fantasy league. I just don't want to.
Is
I'm
it
sure
too
Richie.
is it too
Go.
difficult for you to put a link in the chat?
No, it's not too late. I mean, you could do it too.
I can't put anything in chat. Can you do it
Oh
during the
yeah.
show?
Right. I might be. I'll try to do it. Yeah, I'll try to do it towards
I
the
don't
end.
want I want people who are not involved in radio gunk to be able to have access to doing the fantasy football thing.
You don't want
If it
people.
No, I didn't say that. I said I want people who are not involved in radio gunk to have an equal
Yeah, of
opportunity
course.
to do. So if you put it in the chat tonight during the show, they can just click on that and go to the sign up.
You really ought to hear yourself. You have no idea how much you sound like Liz Cheney right now. It's
Okay.
crazy.
All right.
That's tight shit. You're absolutely right, though, Sarah. I had a fan. This is how nerded out we are by the Depp world, Richie, for years and years. I've had a fantasy, no pun intended, about playing in a Viper Room fantasy football league with Adam Dervitz from the Counting Crows and yourself and Sal Janko and Depp and everybody that works there. Can we still do it? Because
Affirmative.
I heard a story. I heard a story that Adam Dervitz, the whole Viper Room bartending story with him,
Yes.
where he was hiding out and they that he every Sunday they would. I don't know if they had the NFL ticket. They would have chairs on the sidewalk and watch the NFL on the sidewalk. Is that true, Richie? Is that true? Fuck football. Oh, Balo, you anti-establishment mook.
Oh, I want to get.
You're going to be in it. Oh, fuck foosball, he says.
Well, I agree with foosball, but anyway, Balo, you made a comment earlier that you don't add much to this podcast. I wouldn't have you on this podcast if you didn't. So
Yeah,
shush your
John
mouth.
O'Reilly wants in. John O'Reilly wants in. Okay, John. John, you gotta call. You gotta get to the Deppening email too. So I
No,
want to give
you
you
need.
these old school Jets games.
Okay, or yeah, email us at thedeppening@gmail, and Mr. Arm will send you a link.
Any way you can slice it. I'm sure we'll get at you at some point. Richie Albertini just says yes. Okay. So what do you want to start with, Sarah? You want to start with how your week was?
Now you ask. That's very nice of you. This is how my week went. This is the
No, well,
highlight.
you told me you had a video, so I'm not going
Of
to ask you
course.
about your week when you have a
Nice
video
cue
telling
there.
me how.
Uh, Yes, I uploaded. If you all can indulge me for a minute and 40 seconds, I'm still living off the high of this moment, so please play the tape.
And it is titled
My week.
My Week in Video Clips.
Tough circumstances here for the Panthers. 30. Here they come, Mayfield.
You suck!
Ironically, Baker Mayfield could easily be Depp's son. They have a
don't
lot
care.
of similar
You have to ruin
charismatic
my
facial-
moment, don't you?
No. That might be the most self-indulgent video we've ever played on this show in any way, shape, or form.
I'm
Although I
living
am
off.
very proud of. Look, as a Steeler fan, at least I could take the higher. You
fuck
can't.
'em.
I could never get away with playing a Steeler compilation without you having some bitch fit and hanging up.
I don't care.
But I have the ability to like teams, other teams besides my favorite team, unlike you.
Fuck Baker Mayfield. Fuck the t-shirts he made. Fuck the revenge game that everybody thought this was going to be. We beat his
Thank you,
ass.
A. Smith.
He had
I'm-
two
look,
good drives. We beat his ass, and we are 1-0. Fuck 'em.
but it is confirmed by Richie Albertini that Viper Room football story is indeed true. That is very. That's. I just needed the confirmation on that, and we'll get into it more when he actually does come on. A. Smith, thank you so much, sir, for the super sticker and all your kind support. Nathan Rita, welcome. That kicker, Sarah, is a virtuoso. He is going to be the next Tucker, I believe.
Yep.
That is crazy. He is. Apparently, he was perfect in college, and they got goofed on for drafting a kicker
Of
too
course,
early
it's
in
the
the
Browns.
draft, which is bullshit. How many games did they lose from field goals last year?
At least 4 or 5.
Oh, God, I'm telling you, you can tell immediately. Sometimes was he 5 for 5?
Yeah, he was
And
hitting
they're all
6 today in
different range.
practice. He was hitting 60-yarders in practice today.
Oh my God! So supposedly they have footage of him hitting a 70-something yard field goal in practice during
He was hitting 75-yarders in practice.
combines. Holy shit!
Oh,
They did a thing
God.
on that field goal that was 58 yards. He could have hit. It would have been good at 71. I thought I read somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jesus Christ!
Oh,
I'm telling you, that could be the thing that pushes you to 12-5.
I
or
don't know.
something.
We have 11 games of a mid-tier quarterback. So we'll see. And then my quarterback coming back is going to be very rusty. So this season is just kind of a warm-up for next season.
King Cap is in. Thank you, sir. I saw. Hopefully, so you are in.
Thank you.
Last time I looked, you weren't in, but I'm going to assume you are. I don't like football. I apologize for expressing this. That's okay, CB. By the way, yes, Fine Chug, you are right. Fine Chug. By the way, down the road, we're going to do a Depp roundtable, and you are locked in, sir. And we're going to have different topics. And it's going to be you and Andrew Morgan, David, probably maybe Rodney, G Canada. I'm trying to remember who else confirmed. I'm going to have a broad on at some point.
Chubb is a beast, Fine Chug.
Chubb is a beast, Fine Chug. You're absolutely right. And that's why I say forget about Brissett, because your running game is unlike anything I've ever seen in NFL history. I've never seen a team that has 5. There was does anybody remember the late 80s Oilers? They had 5 great halfbacks. That's what this reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this reminds me of.
5 starting caliber running backs on the team.
It's crazy. It's
crazy. Amazing.
Oh, wow. John O'Reilly was at MetLife last Sunday. They are awful. John, they should be paying you to go to those games. I don't know
the Jets Stadium?
Yeah.
No, I can't wait.
It seemed like you're too smart to be a Jets fan. How did that even start? I'm from Long Island, and the Jets originally played, Sarah, at Shea Stadium in Queens.
Yeah.
And then they now share a stadium with the Giants. They're actually not in New York, which is kind of funny. I always laugh. And John, you'll get a kick out of this, I think. When you watch a Jet game on CBS, they give the false impression to people who don't live in the tri-state area that the Jets and the Giants both play in Midtown Manhattan. So they'll show the Jets game and they'll show Times Square. They'll show
they do that
the
with
Village.
Everything.
Oh, it's so false. It's so false.
I was watching old episodes of Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, and they'll have a restaurant that he's visiting on the far corner of Long Island. And they flash to the city to remind you it's New York. It's okay.
Oh, really? So they'll make out Mastic Shirley is the city?
Yeah, they'll
That's
flash
so
on the
funny.
Empire
That's
State
so funny.
Building, and then they'll go back to the restaurant. It's like, okay.
That's so ridiculous.
Sorry, anybody, but thank you for indulging me in my football discussion.
Gunga Din just breaking your balls through this.
You know, Gunga Din, it's not even
Congrats on.
about that. It's
We
about
got to
that
remember.
little.
We got to remember, Sarah. We are on audio too, so we can't just sit there gawking at the screen. We got to spell it out.
They'll understand.
Gunga Din writes, "Congrats on beating the worst teams in the NFL. One of the worst teams in the NFL, Sarah."
Sir, it is not about that. It is about beating Baker Mayfield, the man who ran my Jarvis Landry off the team over to New Orleans, who was probably never going to come back now because we held on to him for too long and he had no decent quarterback. Anyway, so yeah, it's about beating him. He made T-shirts about that game, and the media wanted him to win. That's all I needed. He got.
I don't
sacked,
know why. I don't know. I don't
crushed.
understand. You were a ride or die bitch. Like anything that's not on exclusively on your team, you just hate it. You loved Mayfield last year. He didn't do anything. He played injured, God forbid. And all we do is complain about NBA players and everybody who just sit out for any reason or never play. This is a guy who played through it and tried to play injured. And you can't give him warrior points. He didn't want to leave Cleveland.
No.
I can't. And he looked. Thank you, by the way, Gunga Din. Mayfield indeed does look like Depp. Gunga Din confirms it with me. Yes, he does. He looks like he could be Depp's son.
Nope.
And by the way, you remember him in the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame commercials with Alice Cooper?
Great.
Isn't that crazy connection?
Yeah, those commercials are great to watch when he's thrown 4 interceptions during the game that they're airing during.
God damn. Have you ever,
great.
You would have killed him. If he sat out all year, you would have killed him more.
No, I mean, God forbid a team try and improve themselves and go after a quarterback. We must be the first team to ever do that. The way the media is portraying the betrayal of Baker Mayfield. Please.
I wish he was in Pittsburgh. I wish he was on Pittsburgh. I was hoping.
Good.
And I'm
we can have him.
we
would love that.
They don't want him in the same division. I guess I don't know how much effort was put forth into that. I'd way rather have him than Trubisky. And I'm a Polak. I'm a half Polak.
Oh God.
Trubisky's Polish. John O'Reilly goes, thanks, Browns. I got knocked out of $1 million survivor pool. Thanks. Monique told me I don't know. I'm going to say this. I think she'd be proud of it. The best fantasy football story or the most successful one I've ever heard. And I'm sure everybody. Monique was in a fantasy football league for the first time with her husband. It was $1,000 ahead with 14 owners. She goes on a vacation to the Orient with her husband and has to manage the team from there. So she's calling people to manage her team from the Orient. Blah, blah, blah. Goes to the end of the season. She ends up winning the fucking thing and wins $14,000.
Huh. That's how it goes.
And her husband won the next year. So this is like all lawyers, and it was $1,000 ahead for the season. She knows very, very minimal about, it was fun watching you last year win it too, because it reminded me of like when the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And was it 2007?
Yeah. All those shekels I won last season in your pool. 0. Anyway, yeah, we are going to change the subject. I apologize. I had to have my moment.
Who's yelling at us for talking too much football? You always get
Scott Baylor. He wants to talk about wrestling, and that's a no.
He wants to talk wrestling?
Yeah, that's a no.
Chubbas Barkley's Browns should be. Yeah, and then the Browns are playing the Jets.
Yeah.
Which is what's the spread in that game?
I think it's 6.5 last time I looked.
It's in Cleveland?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Polo Grounds. There's Mario Natrini. Just one more question until we talk next week. Mario Natrini, going to make his cameo tonight.
I think is Mario Natrini. No, probably not.
Probably no, Richie. I don't know how you saw. Do you follow?
He's looking on Twitter. That's because you tweeted it.
Do you follow? Because I know I follow him or tried to. I don't know if he. I'm always fascinated. People can see. People just have the ability to see anything on Twitter. Like somehow we're the only ones that can look. I don't know why. I'm just fascinated that he saw this. I know he probably. I hope he listened to our show. We talked about him last week. I think we were pretty respectful to you. So I really, really look forward to having you on. I can't wait to hear these Viper Room stories because I think it's going to usurp what we've already done because you sound pretty credible to me. I'm sorry, you do. It's ridiculous. You would think Union Square is right by the stadium. I know, John, right? Union Square, Times Square, the Upper West Side, Central Park. They showed Wall Street. Wall Street couldn't be further away from. I mean, it's they play in New Jersey. East Rutherford, New Jersey is not Midtown Manhattan. People in San Diego, lest you think.
My
Okay.
favorite number, by the way, A. Smith, he said is 24, Sarah's favorite number. My favorite number is 24, 27, 95, 90. Used to be 80, but he left. It's certainly not 6.
And Richie Albertini, if you're still listening, we're doing a lot on Bruce Witkin, so I know you know who he is, and there's a huge Viper Room connection to him. And I wonder if that's going to be another question. We're going to spend a lot of time on Sal Janko and Bruce Witkin, who look exactly alike. And that falling out, because that's another story I don't think we have the full story on as well. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, and I don't feel like I've gotten enough. Even him testifying, Sarah, I don't feel like we still. And I know, according to the documents we read from Deadline, Witkin owes Depp a ton of money from that Unison music production company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. This is just a couple of preludes before we get into Bruce Witkin and the Viper Room. This is something I found I always wanted to see. This is John Hamm. And this is when I remember this is Depp had a couple of bombs in a row. And this is like kind of the era of like Dark Shadows and Lone Ranger and The Tourist. And he's making really bad decisions like Pirates 4. And so it had gotten so bad that John Hamm was hosting the Viper Room. Oh, so I'm sorry. Richie says here, Bruce Witkin is a good friend of mine and a very good man. Okay, Richie, I'll take your word. I'll look. He may very well be, and I will take your word on that because he seemed. I got a good vibe off him when I was watching him. I don't know. I'm just trying to use my my arm tuition when I do this stuff. I don't blindly believe everything that's pro Depp, even though I'm obviously a super fan. But we pride ourselves here on being very objective and a lot of tough love and calling out what we don't like. And if you're right, you're right. You know it better than I wasn't there. You worked at the I'm jealous. You worked at the Viper Room and I didn't. You were in the Viper Room fantasy football league and football pool. So this is John Hamm at the ESPYs in 2013. And this is when I knew the general public and the humanoids were on to Depp's bad decisions. And I was a little freaked out by it because I thought I was the only one that was noticing.
Long sports fan. I have the deepest admiration for athletes. But honestly, I still think it's better to be an actor. For example, Chris Bosh was recently fined $5,000 for flopping. Meanwhile, recently, Johnny Depp just got paid $20 million for flopping. So, I mean...
Now, you know, you see, you know, that couple, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
She cheated on him with Harry Styles. Is that a big story?
Okay, what are
now?
the names? I don't know her.
Olivia Wilde.
Oh, okay.
And from SNL.
I stopped paying attention to Hollywood a while ago.
Okay. And so they were like a couple there, and this is the ESPYs. And John Hamm is an interesting dude. So he hosted this. He's always had these like comedy proclivities. Like there's this hidden comedian in him that he wants to come out. So he actually did a decent job hosting this. And now Hamm is no one to speak. His film career is just, you know, he digs whatever. And I think he was supposed to be the next Clooney, and it's not working out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But this is when I kind of was like, I saw this and like, holy shit. So now they're catching on to these. There was like 3 or 4 bombs in a row. And this is right after the other thing is this is Disney. ESPN is owned by Disney. Who's the mother company over Lone Ranger?
Well, yeah, one of the biggest bombs in history, yes.
But who's the mother company over Lone Ranger?
Mm-hmm.
Disney.
Yep.
And who's the mother company over Pirates? Disney. So Pirates, Disney. If you watch Lone Ranger, and I think you watched it, it has the same beats and tropes as Pirates. It's basically if you substituted Tonto for Jack Sparrow, it's the same film.
Okay.
Army Hammer is Orlando Bloom, and it's the same beats, and it's a lot of swashbuckling as a cowboy. And it was one of the biggest bombs in modern times, it's in terms of the budget versus what it made. It really, really was something. Bruckheimer's on the thing, and what did you think of it as a whole?
Very long,
Right.
very unnecessary. Most of the movies very unnecessary. I get the reviews. I think he did a phenomenal job as Tonto.
Yeah, because when he fails, he still wins because oftentimes his
It's
performance
still
is stronger than the movie itself, which
yes,
is the case here. It's the second time he's played an Indian because The Brave, which he directed,
a
he played
native,
more of an American Indian kind of. Say again, Sam?
a Native American.
Native American, right? A chief, a brave, a redskin.
Yeah.
Let's go over. So why is it that there was a thread in Radio Gunk today, and I've been ranting about this for. So why did the Redskins and Indians have to change their name, but the Braves and the Chiefs don't?
The Chiefs are Roger Goodell's sweetheart team. One of them,
And
money.
no, but what did they do that makes them not want to be fucked with?
Well, they won a Super
Won a
Bowl.
Super Bowl. What did the Braves just do?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to
Won a
baseball.
World Series.
Oh, did they? Okay.
So you can't tell me if the Redskins with that moniker and Indians won a World Series and a Super Bowl, would they have fucked with the name?
They should, but you're correct. They will not.
No, because it's a superstitious thing. It's that winning trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
You really think the NFL and Major League Baseball give a shit about Native American culture and
Of course
rights
not.
and integrity? You really think they care?
Mm-hmm. No, I do not.
So this was like so in kind of in line with this, it made me think. Brendan writes, John Hamm fancies himself a comedian, comic actor, despite his success in drama. Yes, he does, Brendan, and he's okay. I saw a sketch. John Hamm, they reenacted the Ace and Gary ambiguously gay duo, and in live action, and I didn't see it when originally, but it was really funny. And I can't stand Jimmy Fallon, but he played, I think, Gary, and John Hamm played Ace, and they did a live
Mm-hmm.
action written completely by Robert Smigel, and it was really, really good.
Before this clip here, I couldn't pick Olivia Wilde out of a lineup. I knew the name. I've never looked at her.
Well, she
I
gets
probably still can't.
confused for Olivia Munn.
No, I know Olivia Munn.
Oh, you do? She was
Yeah.
in Mordecai,
Mm-hmm. Great movie. Just kidding.
which is another. See, that's in line now with the streak of bombs. This
Yeah.
was before,
Of
so this
course.
is 2013. They had no idea Mordecai was about to come. They had no idea Transcendence was about to come along the bike. They had no idea Pirates 5 and Alice 2 were about to come. This is before that, and he had many, many, many bombs since. For every black mass as Whitey Bulger, there is 3 Mordecais in
Mm-hmm.
this period. And that really, really hurt. I thought Rum Diaries was a huge bore.
Oh, I agree.
It was mediocre at best. It was like a C. It was, if you took all the things that makes Hunter S. Thompson interesting, that's the Rum Diary. It's
I
a
remember
guy,
you tasked me with watching that. I had avoided it for so long.
right?
You forced me basically to watch it. And I remember just getting angry halfway through. Why am I fucking sitting through this?
See,
I don't deserve this.
This is why Scott Balow is great. He just bluntly will say something like this, and I know it sounds simplistic, but it's not. And I'm glad. I feel exactly the same way. I don't believe there's actually somebody called Armie Hammer. Scott
Yeah.
Balow, that is so brilliant in its simplicity. When I first read the cast for The Lone Ranger, I saw that name. I didn't know who he was. And my nickname is Arm, so I felt like he just stole it from me. And I'm so mad. There was a basketball player named Armand Gilliam, and which is kind of what my name is somewhat inspired from. It stands for All Rebounds Are Mine, which is a play on the NWA, N-words with attitude, and actually the wrestling organization, National Wrestling Alliance, was where NWA actually got that from, lest us forget. And so
Mhm.
all those things. So I see this Armie Hammer, and I remember reading. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why would you call your kid Armie Hammer? It just bothered me that nobody was harping on that stupid ass name.
I know, it's
What is
cringe.
that?
He's
What
another
is
one.
that?
You look at him, I could walk by him on the street and I wouldn't care. He's so boring
He's
and
so
milquetoast
generic,
to
right?
me.
Well, that's what the problem with the movie was, and a lot of people that the technically the lead is him in the movie,
Mhm.
and you have Depp playing Tonto,
I
and it's almost
know.
he's playing a sidekick.
Isn't he like a cannibal though? Allegedly.
Well, you know that weird ass story with him and some cannibal fetish, and
That's
oh man,
nasty.
it's
I don't even
so
care if it's
tedious.
fake. Why are you even being named in the same you know, deviancy as cannibalism? Why is your name coming up? That's
He'd make a great Scientologist, right? He's very like he's
I
very
don't
like
know.
he's way too like, he's almost like so blatantly polishedly handsome that it makes him unattractive because it's almost like over the top game show hosty face,
Mhm.
and he's got that like affected fucking voice, like what sounds everything out of his mouth sounds fake.
Yeah. Well,
Jason
don't put down Scientology because if they sponsor this podcast at some point, they're the greatest thing ever. So I may have to read
Jason
an ad.
Jason Sudeikis there on the right is he
Oh,
was on
another
Saturday Night.
boring. I boring. So bland to me. All of them.
He's had a decent career though. He has been in some stuff. He's again. I don't expect you to be soup, but as far as people coming out of SNL, he's actually pretty successful.
And she cheated on him.
Yeah,
Who'd she cheat with? Do we know?
Harry Styles apparently.
I see. I don't even know what Harry Styles looks
Well,
like.
he looks like a doppelganger. He's another one of these. I don't know if you listened to Radio Gunk the other night. He was in that One Direction band, which I didn't even realize that Fred's daughter wanted to go to.
Oh,
Tess,
okay.
and then Howard couldn't. They didn't. Howard, being executive, didn't know that Fred wanted tickets, and then he complained after the fact. And so this guy, so he was huge then. This is 10 years ago. Fred's daughter is 20 now.
Mhm.
This is 2012.
Well, and all I know about John Hamm is he apparently has a big ham bone, and he was in Mad Men. That's it.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of movies. None of them have. Actually, he was in the Top Gun sequel
Oh,
just
all
a few
right.
months ago.
I
He played, and
haven't
I
seen
think it's
that
a
either.
fairly big role. I think it's like the third lead in the
Okay.
movie. I think he plays Tom Cruise's commanding officer inside at
I
the
may
Sea
have
Org.
to watch that, but Tom Cruise is like 5'2", so I might laugh too much through the movie if he's playing like this big masculine character of Maverick again, the way he played him
60.
before.
He's 60.
And he does his own stunts, so props to him. But yeah, I got to watch that movie, I think.
We had that whole conversation last time about we want to see Depp attempt a truly physical movie where he has to do shit like Cruise or Keanu Reeves does, where it's just nothing but running around and martial arts, like a true physical test of what he could. And I think just, what would you say? 48 years of chain smoking. What
Yeah.
kind of cardio system does he have? And
Well,
hard
and
drugs.
also, I think the thetans in Tom Cruise's body protect him from any serious injury.
I love that Scientology reference.
Hey, they say the thetans are in your thumb. So imagine how many thetans you have throughout your entire body. You have like thousands of thetans just in your little tiny thumb.
I get a thetan in my fucking pants.
Nothing tiny about it,
That's
sweetie.
I
Allegedly.
got a thetan between my motherfucking legs. And speaking of thetans,
No, you
John
got
O'Reilly says,
you got
Ham is
arms
great.
hammer between your legs.
I know, it's all these fucking phallic euphemisms here. This is ridiculous. We got to get out of this. Army Hammer and John
I cringe.
Hamm and Theatins. John O'Reilly. Ham is great. Mad Men is a phenomenal show, John. It's not for everyone. It's got a weird pacing to it. You got to really be into advertising in the 60s. But it started that whole kind of AMC, Breaking Bad came after it. It's a really good show, and it's a great cast. And I always said John Hamm is the perfect Bruce Wayne. I mean, to me, I don't see how they didn't make every effort into casting him as Batman.
No, he would have been
Bruce
a
Wayne.
fantastic Bruce Wayne.
It's perfect without even trying. If you watch him in Mad Men and you see certain scenes, I'm like, that's Bruce Wayne, and it hit me immediately. One of the broads in the show, Maggie Siff,
Rods.
I thought would have made a good Catwoman at a certain point as well.
Should I be offended that you say broad?
No.
Okay, I just have to say that.
You can feel
As
the
a woman, I have to
intonation
say
in
that.
my voice.
I don't mean it,
That
but
how it's
I
tongue in
know.
cheek.
It's lovable.
Pellel says the Braves and Chiefs also have names that don't sound as offensive as Reds. I don't know. Don't you think Braves is just as offensive as?
No, I agree with the names aren't as offensive. We have been conditioned over the last few years to this is wrong, and offensive, and horrible. This is horrifying. When I heard that chant, that tomahawk chant, I cringed.
Right. I
It's
mean,
now
why is that
embedded in my
right?
system that this is not right.
The tomahawk chop is okay.
And I am a Native American. You look at my
How
grandmother.
effing cool is that Redskins insignia over the? That is one of the best insignias. I thought it was the best helmet in the NFL.
I will say
No
the
pun,
Redskins
no
name is
probably.
offensive. I will agree that is offensive. I don't, Chiefs and Braves, it's not as offensive. But if you're changing everything, why are you not changing that? And we already answered that. So why they're not doing it?
I thought it was the best helmet in the NFL besides Miles
I
Garrett
love.
in the shower. You said.
Anyway, Miles Garrett today said, because that brownie elf is the midfield logo
Yeah.
at First Energy. He said he was told about the history and why that's on there. They won like 5 Super Bowls while they were using that logo. He goes, if we win another one, I'm going to come out here in an elf's costume. I was like, can I pick out the costume?
He really said that.
Yeah, he said that.
This is the last thing.
And nobody cares.
It's not the last. I mean, I'm gonna put a cap on this with sports, okay? And I don't watch college football anymore. It's baby football for pedophiles, and I don't like how the big teams have advantages. There's no draft, there's no parity, there's no regulating the talent. You can just load up the Miami Hurricanes with whoever you want, and there's no stopping that. So they go and beat fucking Appalachian State 85-0, and we're supposed to be all impressed. It's stupid. College sports is stupid until they get a draft, until you can regulate the talent, and all high school All-Americans go to Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina, and we're all supposed to be impressed that they win. It's stupid. It's the opposite of competition. And the way they exploit those kids, I don't watch baby basketball and I watch the pros. I don't care about college sports. But Notre Dame has always been fascinating because what's their nickname, Sarah? The Fighting Irish. Right. So what other ethnicity could get away with this? Like
like the leprechaun, is that offensive?
I'm not even saying it's offensive. It's like you just call yourself the Fighting Irish. So what you do is you put a brand out there to all of America that everybody Irish needs to go to this school.
Yeah.
And your goal as an Irishman in America is to make your kid go to Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And they call themselves. It'd be like if a college in I don't know, like the tri-state, I don't know, LIU. They call themselves the Fighting Guineas or the Fighting Paisan. And you had an Italian school, so everybody Italian American would want to go to that school. And so now NBC, hold on, NBC has a contract with Notre Dame where they put them on in prime time all the time. Why do they do that? They could go, Sarah, they can go 0-12 and they're still on national TV no matter what, because every Mick needs to watch and go to Notre Dame. And it is the dumbest thing in the world. It's the only ethnicity that gets away with having a school named after their ethnicity and then monetized it on fucking NBC. It's so stupid.
I know what you're saying, but I think using the word Irish is different than using the word Guinea.
I'll have paisans. I don't know. Just give me something that's,
I don't know. Anyway,
stew nods, paisans, eye ties. So why, if that were, you would have every Italian American wanting to go to that one school, just like that, and it would be on. Because, however, I don't know if Irish is the top ethnicity in America. I don't know. I'd have to go through. But
I'm Irish, so I can.
The Krauts, the fucking, Illinois Krauts or something. I don't know. That kind of thing. Every German American would want to go to that one school.
Yeah. IG Canada. Okay.
Is he in there?
Yeah. Not for long. He's leaving. Okay. So
look at the compliment we just got from John.
We're all over the place. I know.
Archie and Edith Bunker, we could do.
Let's narrow it down.
Okay, so with that, after I found this John Hamm clip, it reminded me of a very Depp defender and guy who was like really like was flying the Depp flag before any major movie reviewer. and his name is Richard Roeper. And if you're Howard Stern fans, he's been a Richard. He was a Howard defender when he probably shouldn't have been during all that John Kerry FCC stuff, and he was fighting the fight that they couldn't fight. I remember him all over the place, and he's kind of a super fan. And I was probably my favorite movie reviewer. He's the movie reviewer I agree with all the time.
I like Richard Roeper. I enjoyed him on most of his appearances on the shows, the late night shows, the daytime shows, wherever they would appear. I did enjoy him. I like Siskel better, but that's okay. Richard Roeper did, a good job filling in after the death.
I liked Siskel and Ebert, yes, and he was a film, but I liked Roeper better than both of them after a while.
And real quick before we get to the good stuff, do you know Lena Dunham has this movie that she wrote, directed, and of course she has to holler her ass into to make an appearance in. It's just the most woke movie you've ever seen. Of course, girls do everything right, men are evil kind of movie.
Right.
At the very end of a trailer where they're putting up like the reviews, like what this guy said, and it'll be a quote.
Yeah. That's always funny when they cut off part of the quote just to put like
of course,
especially like a really bad movie where they're desperate for anything and they do like
they pick and choose words from the review anyway. So you're watching this trailer and you see this quote about how great this movie is from Roger Ebert. He's dead. He's been dead for how long?
Oh God, he's been dead for I want to say 8 years.
Yeah. So what they did, there's a RogerEbert.com apparently where multiple movie reviewers leave reviews. They took a review from a random guy on RogerEbert.com and credited it to Roger Ebert. So it would show up in the trailer. It didn't say .com. It said Roger Ebert. She is so scummy. Anyway, let's continue.
Remember Roger Ebert had the Robert De Niro thing where he would only date black women, or he was married to a black woman, and he was obsessed. He had that brown sugar fat. But where's Crazy Robin? Speaking of brown sugar,
no, I don't know.
And again, she disappeared again. I can't stand when she goes away.
She'll be back. She's on the Patreon. Everybody, by the way, I want to real quick since Patreon was just mentioned. ARM is updating it frequently. Please join. It's $2. If you want to do more.
I have 20 hours of Mark Harris.
Okay.
20 hours of Mark Harris if you're interested. That was like a big request from everybody. So I'm trying to kowtow to what the people want. And I'll put up God knows what. I mean, Mr. Feeney, right?
Yes, Feeney's
Erotica
Wednesdays are coming.
Okay.
Pun intended.
So you found a passage for me to read.
Yes, and I'm going to be putting that up. You're going to get a couple of those in the chamber, pun again intended. And we will post those every Wednesday. Anyway, let me finish though. But I do want to encourage everybody, if you can, please donate to the channel so we can keep doing this, and it's worth it for us. We have expenditures here we need to get help with sometimes. Anyway, so if you can, super chat, super sticker, as a lot of you do, super thanks, whatever, join the Patreon. We appreciate you. We love you all. Thank you so much.
Well, after all, I mean, you do live in a teepee reservation, so you.
I know. Hey, if you look at I said before, if you look at my grandmother, I should have a feather in my hair.
Hooper says you live in a teepee reservation.
My grandmother died with jet black Native American hair.
Really? Grandpa Saul?
Hey, my grandmother didn't dye her hair.
John O'Reilly says, I gotta get John. You know what? I'm halfway through Mad Men, because there's so much to watch now. I just kept getting sidetracked, and I was loving it. And it was brilliant. I mean, I agree with you. What I've seen so far, he writes, Hamm had the best one-off bed line in scripted TV. He asked what happiness is, and Hamm's response to happiness: happiness is the moment you don't need. I'm sorry. Happiness is the moment you need more happiness. Huh. That is a good line.
At 6 o'clock in the evening, I have to unfurl that quote. I know it's deep. My brain is so fried right now. I have to unfurl that quote and think it out. Because it's so deep for me right now.
I think what it means is you're experiencing happiness, and it's such a drug that you need more, and you acknowledge that you're happy. You ever catch yourself? There was a great line in you saw Reality Bites, right?
Way too long ago.
Ben Stiller and Winona Ryder are walking around on a date, and they have a big gulp. And Ben Stiller says something like, "You ever get that moment in life where you feel happy for about 30 seconds and it just goes away and you just can't?" That's what that is.
Okay.
30. If you just feel good for about 30 seconds, and you can't hold it and you can't bottle it, and it just goes away, and you
Hmm.
go back into that melancholy, morose again, and you
You
go,
know,
why couldn't I hold that?
yeah, I agree with it.
The David's retirement home is still playing bingo, I guess.
Oh, that's okay. He'll be around. He'll be in the comments.
And also, too, like I say this about Canada with the Raptors, you have a whole country rooting for one team, and they can't monetize. Like the NBA can't have a North American rating system.
Yeah. Well,
It's the
what else
same
do they
way with
have?
Notre Dame.
Just
You have a
kidding.
whole country, everybody Irish roots for one team. It's
I will
genius.
always get a snipe in at Canada because they snipe at Oregon.
Kate after he goes, Casey bets on Notre Dame. That's the reason not to go there. I was going to bring up Casey. Oh yeah, because Casey said that if you listen to the Fighting Wops would be great, says John
Oh my God, all of you people.
Casey, we did you listen to our Casey interview from like 3 years ago or something?
Probably.
4 years ago?
Was this the one where Tiger Lily was all hot and bothered in the chat? The
She
one.
always is with him.
I
She
know.
always is. So
I get it.
this is the first one, and he at one point, I don't know if we asked him this or somebody in the chat asked him, who is the worst guest you ever had on? Who treated you the worst and who treated you the best? And so
Mhm.
he said resoundingly, the best person he ever met was Jason Alexander, aka George Costanza, and the worst person was Steven Tyler. He said he was
I see
absolutely
that.
hideous to him.
Yeah. Well, he's
And
hideous anyway.
because one of the Bruce Witkin that I was listening to, he said Steven Tyler was so sweet to him, and the first thing to them, and I said, because he's Johnny Depp,
Mhm.
because it's Johnny Depp. Depp, you're not treating Depp the same way you're treating Casey Armstrong on in the
Mhm.
Stern Show.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it was amazing. It was just an amazing dichotomy of what Casey said versus what Bruce Witkin said about Steven Tyler.
Mhm. We're getting to Richard Roeper.
Yeah. So now
sorry.
I'm gonna put. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So this is Richard Roeper reviewing, because I had you watch Dark Shadows not too long ago. So I want you to line your review of Dark Shadows up with what Richard Roeper says.
Let him go first to remind
Okay.
me of a few things.
Collinwood.
The Collins family.
Who the hell is this?
I'm a vampire, madam.
Yeah. Let's start with Dark Shadows, with Johnny Depp once again teaming up with Tim Burton, and Johnny Depp is once again playing a heavily made up and costume freak. Alas, it's one of their tamer efforts. This remake of the cult soap opera careens between comedy and horror and isn't particularly effective either way. Now, as you'd expect, the visuals are dazzling, and Depp, of course, has some good moments.
Indeed.
But aside from a few good time travel jokes and a nice moment or two of inspiration from Michelle Pfeiffer
Fight on, Barnabas. Fight on for us.
and Helena Bonham Carter, Dark Shadows is a big fat disappointment. But we reach a whole different level of Johnny Depp is an 18th century vampire gentleman who wakes up in 1972. No wonder why he thinks Alice Cooper is the ugliest woman he's ever seen.
Okay.
Evil freeze frame
I'm
there.
so glad he said that. If anybody wants to wonder why and how the Hollywood vampires got together, this is how.
Well,
this
did
is
they know
how.
each other before?
No, they did not know each other before. This
Okay.
is how they met. And
It's just your
Alice Cooper will be
typical
the first
rock
one-
star,
Yes.
cameo. It means
If
nothing
you
to
are a
me.
rock star, from the 70s, Depp's people, whoever is representing him at the time, and he's had 3 people. He's had Wiggum to Christian Carino to Tracy Jacobs before. They will track you down and they will force you to be friends with him and play in a band. If he has a moderate interest in you, he has to be friends with every fucking rocker from the 70s.
Mm-hmm. See, those cameos used to mean something, but they're like in every other movie now, so it's
Yeah.
just it means nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of cameos, I was thinking when we talked about John Hamm before, and Brendan, John Hamm is this comedic kind of bone scratch itch he has to scratch all. It's always he has to scratch. If
No,
you're
no,
on
no, no, no,
Saturday-
stop. Let's get more into this bone scratching. What do you mean by that?
if you're on Saturday Night Live and you're a cast member now, and you have to. And I catch it occasionally sometimes. If it is the reason that show survives is there's never anything on against it, and so it's just when you're on by yourself, of course you're gonna get renewed. They are such star fuckers now. Lorne Michaels especially. They are so obsessed with star cameos. If
It's
you
so
are in
bad.
that cast, you have to be really pissed off because you can't get on screen, and they're bringing in every week Maya Rudolph and Dan Aykroyd and Alec
Mhm.
Baldwin and John Hamm. There's only so much time you have to get your bones and and to make a name for yourself and try something. All they do, Sarah, they will call in like a dozen superstars every week to play roles that the cast should be fucking playing, which they had no problem doing. So if I'm in that cast, I'm like, no, I can do Biden, and then they bring in Jim Carrey. You know what I mean? It's really,
But it's
it's so stupid. You're supposed to make stars, not fucking cycle them.
but if they didn't, nobody would watch that show. It is so putrid.
You're probably right.
It's been horrible for how long now?
I know.
Decades.
I know. Well, that's why, I mean, Alec Baldwin kept it afloat single-handedly just by doing Trump.
Ugh. Lorne Michaels has pictures of somebody giving somebody a blowjob.
I don't know how. I know it should have been canceled 100 times. But the only reason it's not, he does have such sway with the network, but it's on. You got to remember, it's on by itself. There's nothing on against it.
Mhm.
You're competing with nothing. And then there was like I'm sure people in the chat, like, what about Howard's CBS show? Yeah, Howard had a golden opportunity there to destroy. He could. He's so fucking lazy. He couldn't. All you had to do was like a one-on-one interview show against it. He
Well,
repackaged the E show.
of
That was
course.
his answer to taking them on.
Well, and nobody again, I remember sitting, I stayed late at work because they had a television there and my dad didn't want to watch it. So I watched it at work. I'm like, this is just the E show.
Yeah,
I remember
worse,
Marilyn
worse,
Manson
Sarah,
was like the
worse.
first episode. It was just the entire Marilyn Manson interview. Who gives a shit?
If that, it was actually less. They would actually show like less than the E show. So it would be like if the E show is 22 minutes, they would show 4 minutes.
Yeah. Well, they also, and I think the only thing they added to it was like the freak show graphics.
Freak show graphics and power edits, and like occasionally like a 30-second animation thing they would do.
Yeah.
I gotta know what he got paid for that. It lasted 3 years too.
Mm-hmm.
Just hung around. It was CBS owns his radio show, so it was it was an easy hire. You know what I mean? Like they were just like Vinny Favale was the middleman. Vinny Favale was actually in charge of that, and he had to explain to Les Moonves why this is such a piece of shit all the time.
Yeah.
That's
John
crazy.
O'Reilly says he doesn't see the super chatter stickers. They're there. I just checked. I have them in my chat. I don't want to donate.
with
So.
that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, let's back to Roeper.
Yeah.
It's my review of Dark Shadows right now. By now, Johnny Depp wearing period costumes and heavy theatrical makeup while employing an exotic accent is about as fresh as Al Pacino playing a cop. Depp is a great actor, but it's getting tiresome.
He's coming. He's coming.
Ad.
Hear me, future dweller. What is the year? 1972. 1972.
His eighth pairing with Tim Burton.
You recognize that actor, Sarah? That's Kelly from the Bad News Bears.
I couldn't tell you that.
He also played. Did you watch Watchmen in the movie
No.
Watchmen? He played Rorschach in Watchmen.
Oh,
He showed up at the Nightmare on Elm Street audition with Depp for the first Elm Street. He auditioned for Glenn or
Okay.
something else, but he was there with him, and he's a good friend. It's always Deppitism, always.
Me, future dweller. What is...
And I should say this is one of the first Infinitum Nihil movies when his production company was standing to make a profit off it. So the way this got made was Burton and Depp were on Sweeney Todd together, and they're obviously so incestuously chummy, and they're giggling between, and they go, "But Sam, remember that fucking soap opera when we get home in the 70s called Dark Shadows?" And then they're going into this whole thing. Oh my God, wouldn't it be great if we just made that into a motion picture? And he had so much sway and power that any piece of shit half-baked idea could be made at that point. And so here we are.
The year? 1972. 1972.
His eighth pairing with Tim Burton, Depp plays the dashing Barnabas Collins in a wildly uneven and mostly flat take on the cult hit.
I'm sorry, Jackie Earl Haley is the actor's name, Sarah.
Okay.
He played Kelly on Bad News Bears. He was
Right.
Rorschach in Watchmen, and he's one of those like hidden friends of Depp's.
Soap opera from 4 decades ago. Of course, the immensely imaginative Burton gives us some dazzling visuals and some good offbeat humor, but Dark Shadows is a bipolar film that's equal parts comedy and horror film, and neither half is really all that effective.
Who the hell is this?
I'm a vampire, madam.
Yeah. Cursed by Eva Green's evil witch and trapped in a coffin for nearly 2 centuries, Barnabas emerges in a Maine fishing village in 1972, but he has zero curiosity of the world outside his family, which includes Michelle Pfeiffer as the head of the household,
We don't have horses. We have a Chevy.
Chloe Grace Moretz as a petulant teenager,
Affy says Dark Shadow is emo is for emo girls to jerk off to.
Well, according to the Twitter wives, the Depp wives, it's the greatest movie ever.
Pell writes, "Who's sucking Gilbert Grape's blood?"
Me.
That's a great pale ale Gilbert Grape joke. We always talk about how heroinly pale he is during that movie. That's really good, pale ale.
Are you stoned or something?
and Helena Bonham Carter as the ridiculously inept doctor treating the youngest family member.
She for real?
Indeed.
Thank you, Dorian Morgan. He played Freddy Krueger later on in the Nightmare in the Elm Street series. I didn't realize that, or I knew it and I didn't watch it. Jackie Earl Haley he's talking about. Thank you, Dorian.
Bella Heathcote is lovely, but kind of wooden, playing Barnabas's eternal love.
People I love haven't always loved me back.
Despite his courtly demeanor, Barnabas can't control his appetite for blood and for female flesh. His lust-hate relationship with the evil witch picks up where it had left off 200 years ago, but there's not much of a story here beyond that. Dark Shadows just wanders around with various supporting characters having a moment or two before disappearing from screen for long stretches of time.
I shall restore the family business to its former glory.
On, Barnabas. Fight on for us.
And fight I shall.
We get a few laughs out of the time travel humor, but with the PG-13 rating, there's not much heat in the sex scenes and not enough bloody good fun in the violence. This is the first big disappointment of the summer movie season. I can only give it a C. I'm Richard Roeper. You can get all my reviews at richardroeper.com and Unreal.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
No, what were you going to say before I go?
I was going to say, how much does Roper's review of that line up with yours? Because with mine, it's about 100%. I'm almost freaked out how much I agree with every word he just said. Because I can find different angles and stuff. I couldn't agree more.
I watched it not expecting much. Again, you forced me to watch it. I made it through I made it through the whole thing based on the visuals of this movie. I love the visuals. I think he did okay playing Barnabas. See, that's like, we've had this discussion in the Anne Heche episode. I was a huge soap opera fan back in the day. I never understood why something like Dark Shadows was ever made.
I don't know it exists. Did you know it existed?
I knew of it. I never cared to watch it because it didn't interest me. I want
What channel was it on?
realish story. NBC, I think. Anyway,
What
who cares?
time?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. But the main thing for me is I think I don't like movies where they force like a teenager storyline into the
Right.
movie. So you've got these petulant teenagers that are in this movie. They get way too much airtime. The cast needs to be cut down by half, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
wish they would have gone into more of his relationship with the witch, made it a little bit more dark.
One of the things Roper said that was phenomenal, which I didn't even say. I'm not that we've fully reviewed this, but I thought of it made me think more about it. He's right. You know, Depp's character never wanders around enough in modern society, modern day, to get a piece of the man out of time Captain America feeling that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, he's just kind of in the castle and in and around that little area, almost like he's on house arrest. Like
Yeah.
there's none of that. They're going for that, but he doesn't even try to make him wander around this town and you don't, or just even Maine in general. It's a weird place to put it because Maine almost looks like it's stuck in the 40s.
Yeah, I see that. Again, most of this, I would actually give this like a D plus. This movie, based
I
on
think
visuals alone.
he loves Depp, so I think he gave it more of than it
Yeah,
probably
I
deserved.
see. You can see it's like a diluted version of a regular Depp movie. Like
Yeah,
the
it's like a
first
half
few
baked.
Tim
Yes, yeah.
Burton Depp, uh, you know, partnerships
Let's just
were
work
great.
together and whatever. We'll do this.
This is just an easy paycheck. But
We're not gonna have to pay too much for rights to it or anything. They don't give a shit. Nobody cares. So we're gonna and and especially with Depp and Burton, the cronyism's always in full effect. So all their friends are gonna be hired on, all the same people, all the same soundtrack, the same look, and it's an assembly line, and it's no matter what you're gonna get that. Again, I told you. You know what this came out against the opening week?
remind me.
Avengers 1.
Oh, please. Dead in the water.
Avengers 1.
Yeah.
You know what the
Didn't have a
budget
chance.
was?
More than Avengers?
Well, close.
Okay.
I swear to God.
Which makes no sense.
200. I've seen a couple figures. So I've seen $205 million budget,
Yeah.
and you watched it. At any point, did you go, "Where did the money go? What on what?"
Yeah, I don't see that as an
Private
appropriate
jets,
use of money when you look
private
at that
jets to
movie.
Epstein Island. Where did the money go?
Yeah, I don't
Infinitum
know.
Nile is part. He gets his full fee, and it didn't do well in streaming. It didn't sell Blu-rays well. It
Mhm.
was, and there's room in cinema for that and Avengers.
Mhm.
There truly is. It's just they put it out, and it came out that first. That's. I mean, Roeper said the first huge bomb of the summer, and that was a live review he did. That's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So he says during that Johnny Depp in with an exotic accent and huge makeup and period pieces about as fresh as Al Pacino playing a cop. That's 10 years ago. He said that.
Mhm.
So now, when Depp, when the dust settles from Fairfax, what's the first thing Depp agrees to do? An exotic accent with
A
huge
concert.
makeup and no, I'm talking about King Louis the 15th.
I don't mind that. I'm actually
Oh, fuck
I want
that
to see
movie.
it.
Fuck that movie. Fuck that movie. There's not I don't. Who is excited about that? It is exactly what the fucking Libertine was, and that's like that's in career depth rehab. That is the first or second thing I'm knocking off his choices. You do
Mhm.
not a show like Mad Men. John O'Reilly is what he should be doing.
Well, once you're on the payroll for Depp, we can afford to do this podcast without grifting, and you can do whatever you want with this career. I won't care.
Yeah,
John O'Reilly, thank you so much. I'm glad you found it because you are always contributing to this channel. I appreciate it very much. That's a couple of hot dogs for Arm.
and we're gonna make it worth your while with Jets uploads and fantasy football. And by the way, in my fantasy football league, you get to use individual defensive players, which nobody does. We're gonna have punters. There's a coach you can
I
draft.
can't.
It's
If
all sorts
I
of eccentric.
if I have to join to make it, an even number, I'm looking forward to
he
drafting a coach.
he takes a shot at you. He goes, $205 million is actually less than Deshaun Watson's getting.
Hey, I got a rich owner who can do it. No
You should
skin
be on
off
the
my
payroll.
back.
You should be on the payroll. Did you
No.
ever watch Draft Day with Dennis Leary,
No.
Jennifer Garner, and Kevin Costner?
I know it's about the Browns
Yeah,
loosely,
yeah.
but
Dennis Leary
no.
plays the coach. The Browns. He plays Stefanski.
Yeah. Hey, Stefanski is king, so whoever thinks they can take on that task of playing him, portraying him, good luck to you.
You need to watch that movie
I know I do.
with
It's
a
it's on the list of about
2022 set of
500.
eyes. Because I only watched half of it and I didn't. I know it was like a Moneyball knockoff. There's a
Mhm.
really good baseball movie called Moneyball with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. See, that's a movie I remember. I said it on this show. That is a movie I would have picked for Depp. Moneyball.
I would love that.
Silver Linings Playbook, Moneyball, something like a sports drama, something Jerry Maguire-esque. By the way, he was the second choice for Jerry Maguire.
Do you think he would if they wrote a movie about the drama with the Miami Dolphins, he should star in that? someday.
That's fucking uh the Jim Carrey the Jim Carrey comedy. The fuck I'm blanking on her. This is what I'm talking about, Sarah. My brain's deleting information.
I
This is
don't
what I'm talking
even.
about. Where I'm going senile. I can't think of Ace Ventura. I blanked on Ace fucking Ventura, just like I did Joss Whedon. I
You
can't.
forgot
I
a
am
name.
deleting
My God, it's
information.
over. You forgot a name. End it
Ace
now.
Ace Ventura was a Miami Dolphins semi storyline on that.
Yeah. I think he would do a much better job than Jim Carrey with the laces out uh
Yeah.
drama at the end of that movie that they can't even portray anymore in a movie, if you know what I mean.
John O'Reilly goes, I logged
Sean
back and
Young.
came back in. Yeah, Sean Young is Monique's friend, and she's in that as well. That was the peak of her powers.
You know
Or
that
they
that movie's now considered like homophobic, right? Ace Ventura.
no, why is that?
Well, the reveal at the very end with Finkel as Einhorn Finkel.
Okay. It's like a transgender.
Yeah, when he
Right.
twirls her around and she's got a bulge in the back of her underwear.
I could see this movie being a cult favorite if you saw it when you were younger. Yeah, Pelle, that's the only way. If for the nostalgia, it would be during the rewatch. When we were kids and you saw movies like that, you didn't realize they bombed in the theater. You just
Mhm.
liked them because you were a kid and that's what you saw.
Yeah,
It's
of
one of
course.
those deals. He's right. It's being a kid. Depp needs to just admit he likes to dress up in complicated costume changes. Yeah, he loves his go-to, and it's almost boring. Is that move of too much costume?
What year
And
was that
again, you're
movie
supposed to
again?
play some 2012.
Okay, so he was happy to sit in a makeup chair for a few extra hours a day to get away from Amber Heard.
Yeah, they were together. They were
They were
firmly
doing it.
outed together. No, I think they were doing it in '09 during
Yeah, I'm
fucking Rum
sure.
Diaries. I think
I've
that
I've
goes
never, as much as I love him and I will defend him to my death, I will never believe that they were attracted to each
miraculously
other.
single at the same time, right?
Well, no, but they in 2009 they had this attraction and then they separated for a while. I don't believe that. And they
Well, it's
magically got back together. I don't buy it.
well, he fell into a lot of cliches, and one of them is the classic fucking I knew it was coming midlife crisis casting couch
Of
scenario that you
course.
see in everything. But when you're someone like Depp, it's not sexual harassment. When you're Weinstein, it is. You
Yeah.
can't if you look like Depp does and you're dealt that great genetic hand and you're George Clooney, you don't get Me Too'd. You can only get Me Too'd if you're a fucking Morlock
Mhm.
like Weinstein, because essentially that was a casting couch thing. She didn't even audition. If people don't know the story,
She
she came
auditioned
in
like
there
5
and
times, remember?
now she came in there and just dazzled him with similar interests.
Mm.
She's an old soul. She
According to
didn't.
him, she auditioned 5 times and whoever the director couldn't figure out what to
Bruce
do with her.
Robinson. Yeah.
So he called in Depp for help.
No,
And
he stepped in. According to her, he insisted on a wink wink auditioning her.
okay, yeah, I don't. Okay. I missed that. What I was just thinking of was her story on the stand where he laid her down on the couch in the trailer and looked at her and said, "Yum." I
Yeah,
cringe every time I think of that. But if
I
he
believe it.
did that to me by some miracle,
I believe it.
I lose it in a good way.
I believe this is a guy in a midlife crisis, pussy fog,
Of
who
course.
she had wrapped around her finger at that time.
The
And again,
biggest mistake he ever made in his life.
yeah, I mean the age difference. He is old enough to be your dad,
Mhm.
mm, a young father, but he's old enough to be your dad. And at that time, um, it's so funny when I go back and I see stuff with. It's amazing how out of the spotlight Vanessa Paradis is and was. I mean, it is very difficult to find interviews with her,
Mhm.
and, and she'd be around certain things. You'd see him walking into stuff, and she just speaks sort of, head down in the background, and it's just not. I don't recall much more than maybe 3 interviews of her speaking in the time they were together.
Yeah, I know what her singing voice sounds like. I don't know what her speaking voice sounds like.
She speaks fluent everything. She's just one of the. She's so bilingual. It's Silence of the Lambs considered transphobic.
I
It's
actually, you
sort
know
of
what's weird about that comment? I had that thought, I think last night. I wonder if Silence of the Lambs now is offensive.
That's what John O'Reilly's asking.
I know. I was weird. That's a weird comment that's coming up right now. But I would imagine yes.
Depp has to be a cool '90s alt dude. He'd love to play Bukowski. Charles Bukowski, who's like he's a philosopher, writer, Sarah. I don't know, very like Oh, by the way, 69 Megma.com. Everybody, you got to go on that. You gotta just give them your credit card and join, and you can have
Please
sex with
don't.
everything you want, your heart desires. It is the
Please
best.
don't.
69mega.com.
And my apologies, I forgot to change it to members only chat or
Pat
subscriber only.
Cooper's wardrobe. Charles Bukowski,
Oh, here they come
I don't
again.
know his whole biography, but I can't believe there hasn't been a movie about this guy. People seem to love this guy, and I would love to see Depp play him. Actually, if there is a movie in there, I don't know if he has a story of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
Dorian, that's a good idea. Casey Armstrong's obsessed with Charles Bukowski. He's like a Thompson type, Sarah. He's like a
Yeah, I
philosopher,
couldn't even. I
writer,
know the name.
very
I couldn't.
alcoholic. He's perfect. He's right. Dorian's right. Perfect Depp.
I watch it. You know what I would
if the-
love? For Depp to have taken that role in Leaving Las Vegas. I think that would have been great. Amazing. And I don't use that word a lot.
I told you he was offered Nicolas Cage's City of Angels right before he was.
No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want any movie. I don't want Depp in any movie that the Goo Goo Dolls are in the soundtrack. I can't.
Because I don't think that they'd understand when they're disciples of the Replacements. They're cheeseball replacement knockoffs, the Goo Goo Dolls. I don't know if you know that. More like midlife drug addict on meth cloud, says NA. With the NA is gonna love
Contrarian.
Richie Albertini. I think they're one and the same person. When we have Richie Albertini on,
And again, I don't see an email.
him.
I don't see an email yet, Richie. So if you're still there, email us at thedeppening@gmail.com.
Or we'll contact you because we're locking you up. It's very tough to book a guest spot on the show. You know how much we had to chase down Scott Baylor to do this show? It was crazy. The negotiations with his agent. He was so aloof. He never returns your call.
I know.
Finally got okay. Arm, wouldn't you like to be in a Depp-like pussy fog once in your life?
I want to hear this answer.
You see, you can't. You have to put like a pussy fog with him. Is that you're going to get your way. You know what I mean? Like when you have his access and fame and money and genetic hand, he's going to get whatever he wants.
Yeah, he has no limitations.
Right.
He can fly her to Paris for a dinner of escargot and then fly home the same night. It's a little different.
There's nothing
equality.
For lack of a better term. No, you're right. There's nothing he can't dazzle her with.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form. It's like, and say what you will about Amber Heard, he pursued her from all the people involved in that circle. He chased. She was a lesbian. Or claiming to be, sexually fluid or whatever. He pursued her while he was ensconced in a relationship with baby mama Vanessa Paradis. He cheated on Vanessa and he pursued her. So say what you will about her and how evil she is and the succubus and she's all those things. He made his fucking bed by pursuing her. He could have just backed off. We'd never be in this mess. And I actually blame, and I say this all the time, it's Hunter S. Thompson's fault because this never would have happened if he didn't have to put this very mediocre film, Rum Diary, on film.
Mm-hmm.
If he never read that transcript, you'd never know Amber Heard.
I saw on another channel, I can't tell you which one, I don't remember, it was months ago, but they summed her up very, accurately. They said she's gay until she needs pay. And that's very accurate.
Yep. But she's not atypical of a lot of actresses now who are sexually whatever you want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, they're all, it's very hip to say that about yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately for a lot of actresses now, that's how they market themselves.
N.A. writes, Depp should play Bukowski's lesser-known favorite writer, John Fonte. I don't know him, N.A. I'll look his stuff up. John Fonte. That sounds legitimate. I don't know if... I'll check him out, John Fonte. I'll try to if I can remember. Believe it or not, the Goo Goo Dolls were a punk. They claimed to be Pelle. I remember that. I remember
Yeah, I think so.
they all start out. It's almost like Green Day, right? Green
Hmm.
Day is this hardcore punk band, and then I mean, you're in it to be successful. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you're there, you want fans, you want people to like and see your music, and once they do, well, now you're a sellout. At what point you didn't ask to be a sellout? They just came to you.
Hmm.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Turn the fans down or turn down that you're there so people listen to your stuff?
Interesting, the Kevin Nash comment that's on the screen right now. She was linked to Kevin Nash
Yeah, she was fucking
during
Magic
the
Mike.
Magic Mike
Yeah.
days.
So Pellel writes what Sarah's talking about. Wrestler Kevin Nash says it's better to know you can get the pussy than to actually get it. I guess he means yesterday's pussy fog accomplishments are actually today's. Hashtag
Well,
me too.
those what the groupies on the wrestling circuit are not really the same as what Depp's groupies.
But
Well,
I agree with
maybe
him
they are.
because what he's saying there is be careful what you wish for.
Mhm.
Right. So you
No, of
think
course.
this, and then you get this high maintenance crazy bitch who's, an 8 or above, and she's known this since she's been in middle school and how she can play guys and has gotten her by on her feminine wiles and her looks her whole life, and everything she's gotten is because of this. you know you
Well,
realize you can get someone like that. Like, okay, well, then now she's in your clutch, and now that nightmare that she was comes out. What's that old adage that
there's
was in that
somebody
Bill
somewhere
Maher?
who
Yes.
was sick of her bullshit or something.
Right. Right. Show me the most beautiful girl in the world, and I'll
Yeah.
show you somebody who's tired of her shit or tired of effing her.
Yeah. It's also you're single for a reason, whether that
Yeah.
be, my fault or their fault. There's a reason that we aren't with a mate.
Hunter would have laughed at Depp for bringing your old girlfriend to court about a stupid newspaper article. As much as NA, we break your balls about being a contrarian and stuff. You have a brilliant comment, and you often do here. Sarah, what would Hunter S. Thompson do watching that trial? I love that what if. That's one of my favorite what ifs we don't bring up nearly enough. What would Marlon Brando and Hunter S. Thompson do watching that trial?
Perhaps go the Mickey Rourke way and offer to fight anybody who spoke ill of Depp. I don't know.
No, but especially Thompson, because I mean he would just be like, I wrought this beast. I created this. This
Mhm.
trial is really in my honor in a way. But Depp would be getting Thompson's earful every night after the trial. Thompson would be on the phone with him, just emasculating him,
Mhm.
telling him to just. I can almost see him showing up and fucking with the legal team,
Yeah.
writing scripts.
Mhm. I want to
But
see.
I would
I would
love
like
to
to
know
see
how
that script.
if Thompson were alive, I would love to know what his thoughts were about this trial.
Mhm. I think you would have a few choice words for the defendant.
Ugh, that's such a good post, NA. Balo goes, it's more complicated than that, but selling out is more about changing your sound for fans, which Green Day actually did after a long time for some weird reason. Is that true? Could you sit there and go, I'm going to change my sound? Yeah, I could see maybe the music company's going, just tone down. It's a little too garage bandy right now. It needs to be overproduced, and we're going to put in, I don't know. Do you agree to do that even though you're already successful?
Mhm.
He's saying, don't be a deviant. You don't have to try to fuck everything in the world. Yes,
Mhm.
Dorian Morgan. I see Gum being a Stanhope. Oh, okay. Bukowski. Okay, the other Bukowski friend, but not shut down. Yeah, Stanhope shares a lot of the attribute the Bukowski persona. In fact, Gum him. My typing failure. John O'Reilly. Arm, you're in a bar at the Nautical Mile in Freeport. Oh my God, I don't know how you know that place. Freeport, Sarah, is a town very close to Roosevelt. It's actually in between Roosevelt, Howard's, and Rockville Center.
I've heard of
Actually,
Freeport, Long Island. Yes.
South Long Island, and it's right on the water. And there's a great strip called the Nautical Mile, and it's a lot of outdoor bars, restaurants, and shit. You'd love the seafood angle there. I used to go there a lot in the late 90s, early 2000s, and a lot of bikers will pull up there and take over a place. It's like, the fucking, these kind of poor man's Hell's Angels that go on these fucking these cycle rides on Sunday and Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll set up shop at these outdoor bars, and it's a whole strip. It's South Long Island, right on the water, and it's a great little. I can't believe it's such a reference. Amber Heard walks up to you smiling. Amber asks if she can sit in the empty chair next to you. Your response: I'd probably say yes. I mean, if it's the real Amber Heard or just someone who looks like her, I would totally say yes for both.
If
And
it's
I
the
would just,
real, if it's the
I would,
real Amber Heard, you would try to get her on the podcast. If it was an Amber Heard quality type broad, you would quiz her on her NBA knowledge first.
no, I would do a Donnie Brasco on her. I would reverse it, and I would get my cell phone recorder on, and I'd hit record, and I'd just have a conversation with her.
Oh,
I'm
if
sure I
it's the
could
real
spin it.
Amber Heard.
Yeah, I think he means the real Amber Heard.
Okay.
Well, that's some reference. The nautical mile in Freeport is some reference. And by the way, Freeport's very wrong side, right side of the tracks town, where one side's like the Bloods and the Crips, and the other side is Bentley from fucking the Jeffersons. Or who's a great Tom Chiusano, for you Stern fans, on one side of the tracks, and then the Bloods and the Crips on the other side of the tracks. Oh yeah, Stephen Howard. Okay, so here we're gonna go to. Okay, so this is Johnny Depp's friend, Bruce Witkin, who he has been friends with since the early days of Miramar, Florida, in the 80s. He does an interview, and I just found these. I wish this is from 5 years ago, and it gives better biographical data than the actual interviews I've seen with Depp. And I found out stuff like the very month they left Florida was Christmas of after December of 1983.
Okay.
So they stayed through the holidays of 83 and went to Florida.
When is this interview
pursue that.
from?
This is from 5 years ago.
Okay.
So they were friends. So they're still bros, and he's still running the music company at this point. And I want to show you that, and I want to go to when he turns on him in the trial.
Okay. All right. Good.
Hey everyone, this is Tommy Black, and welcome to 5 or More Questions, episode number 30.
So this guy is from the Viper Room, Sarah. He has a Viper Room channel.
I'm subscribed to this channel.
And I don't know what his role is in the Viper Room. He lobs up more softballs than Jimmy Palumbo in Beer League. But you get, Witkin going, gets to elongate their biography. And this is stuff I've never heard Depp say.
Mm-hmm. And Tommy Black, thank you for letting us use this, and please go subscribe to his channel. Thank you.
Yes, Tommy Black's Viper Room channel on YouTube. There's not a ton of stuff on there, but
since the Viper Room is no more.
31. On this show, I talk with artists about their current projects, stories they've never told before, and their connection to the Viper Room on the Sunset Strip. Today, we're talking to Bruce Witkin. He's a musician and a producer who's worked with many artists, including the Hollywood Vampires, Adam Ant, and Marilyn Manson, just to name a few.
Do you remember Adam Ant coming up, Sarah, in the trial when he testified?
Was it in the beginning when he's talking about his influences?
Jealous.
Or are you talking about Bruce Witkin talking about it?
Witkin was talking about who Depp was jealous of.
No,
so
I don't.
Out of nowhere,
he
throws Adam Ant out, and I'm like,
okay.
What?
Yeah, I'm
he
not
said Nicolas Cage and Adam Ant.
Okay, I remember the Nicolas Cage. All right, go ahead.
So let's give him a call.
Give him a call.
Yeah, he's on the phone. This is audio.
Hello.
Bruce Witkin.
How's it going, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah. We're walking around where my wife grew up down South Miami Beach.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't he sound a little like Thompson, Sarah? Like the mumbling and the...
South Beach.
That's cool. That's so cool.
It's so not like what we remembered it.
It's changed. All right.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
You're from Florida, right? You're from Miami, or?
I was born in New York, and then as Jews do, we migrate. Our parents migrate to Miami. So I think when I was like 10, we moved down to Florida, and I was here until 84 is when I finally moved to LA.
Wow. Cool.
So you matched that date up, Sarah? What was the year Nightmare on Elm Street 1?
84?
Yep.
Okay.
It's so he moves with Depp.
Okay.
What you're listening to isn't Bruce Witkin's biography. It's Depp's biography. It's frame for frame exactly what he does, Depp does. So don't just don't think of Bruce Witkin. Just think of Depp is with him all along this whole time.
And in Florida, your band was the Kids in Florida? It started in Florida, right?
Yeah, that's sort of where it's pretty much where I cut my teeth down here. My mom used to she was a booking agent down here. She wasn't in New York. She just, single mom, did whatever job she could. But when she got down here, she came down with some friends that were musicians that I'm still friends with, guys I've known my whole life. And so she started an agency booking clubs around here. And
so this is something we've never known. So he's with this band, and I always wondered how they could open for REM and the Pretenders, and really big band. Billy Idol was another one, and I think I'll mention a few of them. Talking Heads might have been another one. So they're opening for these bands. It's like, how did that happen? Like his mother, they're Jews, and his mom isn't a booking agent, and she moves. I had no idea. That's quite a little advantage to have when you're in a band. Your mom is a booking agent.
Yeah.
And is doing the legwork for you. I never, all the shit I've tried to read about this all the time. And by the way, and I don't know if anybody in the chat would agree with this. I've said this to Sarah. Sarah's lukewarm. Sarah's Luke Perry warm on the idea. You can't gauge her. She's very Liz Cheney on this. I said that a great idea, it's good to me. And again, I think a great idea for a show, a Netflix series, would be this. Depp's band in the early 80s going through that Florida scene. Just like a drama based around that and what it was like.
You want to watch what you want to watch. I just don't know if that would interest me that much.
Okay. I don't know if you can make it with gravitas. And then they're moving I really think that might work, like a show about a band trying to make it, and they don't know what their genre is at this time, and it's completely based on their experience.
So
and they don't make it, and they don't make it, and they don't make it. And the culmination of they get to Florida and one of the guys becomes a movie star. And it's just use the names. Fuck that. Use the names.
You have to be careful when you're doing a show about a band or a movie about a band, because you get into these characters, you start thinking they're really cool, you're following the storyline, and then their first concert scene, you're like, this music is so douchey.
Yeah.
And stupid, and you're just thrown right out of it. I don't know if I would want to watch that.
I'm watching this show called I'm done with it now. I finished it. It bums me out because I was enjoying it so much. Called Kingdom, which I realized they wanted to call it Navy Street, and DirecTV wouldn't let them call it Navy Street. So it's this generic title, and it's about MMA fighters and their life. There's no reason that this couldn't be the same thing. Their day-to-day operate. Are you not making a lot of money? How do they survive? What happens with these guys during the day? What is their life like while they're trying to make it in this ragtag band? They're all in their fucking early 20s and stuff.
They're hungover all day, and they're moaning and groaning in pain. I don't know.
Nice follow-up, Liz.
They're not going to be on these adventures that you want to see.
It doesn't have
to be laying around in bed and banging
to,
women.
Sometimes it's and sometimes it's that, but it doesn't. It's a kind of a gritty look at what their life is like. It doesn't have to be crazy adventures every episode. You got to get the dialogue has to be, depends on the writers. I personally would watch it.
When I was like 11 or 12, all I was doing is hanging around with musicians, and they started to get a good following and playing clubs, and so it kind of.
What sort of scene was your mom?
Melvin agrees with you.
Mom booking around down there.
Well, it was interesting. Back in the early 70s, obviously it was hard to play rock and roll because disco was what people wanted to hear. But the band that she managed was a rock and roll band, and so they they did the disco thing for like 6 months, and then they just started playing rock and roll. They just said screw it and started playing rock and roll and doing their own music, writing their own music. They were a band called Tight Squeeze, and they were pretty popular down here in the mid-'70s.
Anybody know a band called Tight Squeeze? Balo, it sounds like your genre.
Up until probably 78 or 79, and they broke up, and that's when the Kids started. So, you know, I mean, I started the Kids a little bit before that, before they broke up. But, so yes.
So for context, Depp is 16 when the band starts.
So that's what she was.
He hasn't been emancipated yet, or is damn close to it. Getting kicked out of his house.
He's still sleeping in cars, though.
Somewhat. I think that might have just started. Yeah, it's right around the same time.
She was booking bands, and then she managed that band. And at one point, they had a club down here in Hollywood called the Tight Squeeze Club. It was the name of the band. They met up with this promoter guy, or this club owner guy, who said, look, you guys play here on the weekend, well, I'll give you the door. And they went into business with each other. So the band sort of had its own club. And then they would let original bands come in and play because nobody was really allowing original music.
Wow.
So that was the whole thing. That's the beginning of a small scene that started right before that band kind of broke up, which was a drag. But that's kind of where the scene took off for me and the Kids. Because we played covers because that's what we wanted to make a living, but we would do mostly originals. So if we would do covers, we really weren't doing what was on the radio. We weren't playing Journey or Foreigner. We were like playing Dave Clark 5 or, you know, sort of the Clash, stuff that wasn't on the radio yet.
You know, oddly enough, I would love to hear them in an ironic cover of Journey or Foreigner. You know, the Hollywood Vampires cover it, tongue in cheek. But that would be funny as fuck. I would love that.
Did you really do like the AF thing just now? That'd be funny.
Well, I didn't mean it like I'm on TikTok. I think as fuck has been around a little longer than TikTok, honey.
Oh, honey.
Are you calling me a poser for saying as fuck? That just got created last year?
All right, I'll forgive you.
I think it goes back to the Kids in 1979. Melvin writes, there's a new show called Greenlit by Army Boulevard instead of Navy Street about a Long Island podcaster and his anger issues. God, Melvin
What's the
problem? Who loves anger more than Melvin? He is like a fetish for it, right? Just wants you. He lives for outbursts and people arguing and anger. He loves it.
So he can quote you.
Yeah, so he can quote. I think he's got that Pat Cooper in him.
With like, you know, sort of underground. Because in Florida was nothing like New York or LA. I mean, it was sort of it was behind the times, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't know about the Sex Pistols till 4 years after they broke up.
Affy writes, he kind of sounds like, it sounds like a cross between Norm Macdonald and Thompson. Normson S. Thompson.
But I would go to New York, you know, and find new music and bring it back. And when MTV started, it changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But the club scene down here was either playing all covers or if you were lucky, you could split it up. And so the band, the Kids, because we were a bit different than everybody else, we used to get really good opening slots. Like we opened up for the Pretenders and B-52s and, you know, a bunch of bands that would come into town because we were the only band that kind of fit.
REM was another one. That's pretty fucking good. At that point, you're your late teens, you're opening for them.
Yeah, that's not bad. What year again? Early 80s?
Basically starting about 79.
Were they REM yet, though?
79 to 83 is kind of their time.
They weren't really REM yet.
No. If you knew who they were, it was probably a local thing. I certainly didn't know who REM was until 1989, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Men on the Moon, REM, absolutely. I'm impressed.
But
they're still like garage band level. What?
How many Andy Kaufman songs does REM have?
I love their song they did for that movie.
I love.
I think 2.
Yeah, I got Man on the Moon, and then I'm looking through Bending Spoons.
I'm
The animal.
Great Beyond.
Great Beyond. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you,
Oh,
thank you.
great song. I have that
I
soundtrack.
love that.
Courtney Love
I
was in
love
those.
that song too.
Yeah.
So they're one of my favorite bands. Top 3.
With that stuff because everybody else was either into like, rock, Molly Hatchet, or there was a punk scene that was going on, but it was still brand new. So, it was sort of like a lost time, I think. The industry never came down here.
No.
They thought it was just a retirement home, but there was a good vibe down here from mid 70s till probably the 90s, and then I guess Manson's from down here and a few other bands. But when I was down,
So he slips in a Manson reference there, and
Hmm.
so Manson's origins go. He's actually from the home of the NFL Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio,
Hmm.
and they moved to. You know him better than I do. He moved to Florida, Sarah. What, his late teens?
Yeah, did he move with his family? I'm not
Yes.
a
No. Yes.
Manson.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I saw this. He moved to whatever, that Fort Lauderdale, Miami area.
Yeah, and it's Fort Lauderdale.
Broward Community College. He was a It was a music
Yeah, I
journalist.
was
Some
trying to be an
magazines by the
underground
creator.
beat writer.
And then he got on the set of 21 Jump Street because they did a contest. What was it like to be an extra on 21 Jump Street for a day? So that's the scene we have him in, that cameo appearance in season 4, what he's on. And that's when they first met. And so, which is kind of weird but they weren't in the same rock scene because Depp predates him by a good 5 or 6 years.
I'd say 10, 15 years.
No, Depp's 6 years older than him.
Oh, well, I'm talking about like rock careers though.
Oh, yeah.
Manson didn't hit until 95, 96.
Is that the first? Yeah, 90. Yeah, definitely mid 90s.
Yeah. American Family album came out in 94. Yeah, I think so. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
here, we had to get out. That's why we went to LA.
You were in Florida and you decided to move to LA around when?
It was 80 and basically 84, beginning 84. It was the end of 83. We spent Christmas here of 83. So,
which is so, as soon as Depp gets out of the car, he gets the lead role in, well, not the lead role, but one of the top, the
heartthrob
in the, what I feel is maybe the best horror movie in history, Nightmare on Elm Street 1.
Mm-hmm.
And
we lasted just about a year. One of the guitar players, who's a dear friend now still that I see, he lives out here.
So they get to LA, Sarah, in, let's say, January of 84. And they only last a year as the kids out there. And then you could hear all of the dissolution. His sister-in-law is Depp's first wife.
Yes.
Lori Ann Allison.
Who has nothing but wonderful things to say.
Who comes from Florida originally and then went out there. And it's such a weird biography. Ever changing.
Here now. He just couldn't take it out here. It was hard in the beginning. And, I was with who would to be my wife for 30 years. I was already with her, not knowing it, but I had that support system. And at one point, the guitar player wanted to go home for a bit, so he went home, and then he didn't come back for a bunch of years. But it was okay. Johnny started to do some auditions, and I just kept playing, doing music however I could. And yeah, so I've been in LA since 84. And I thought it was like, the band kind of stopped playing, and I had some songs. I wound up getting a couple songs in some movies really early on when we moved out.
Very cool.
In 85, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I hooked up with this. I won't mention the guy's name because he's a huge name now.
Okay, I know the name. And I'm going to say it. Let's just do the setup again. because I have the I don't know what I saw it. Like there's these weird blogs floating around the net, and you click on it one day, and you're like, what? And so somebody wrote and then you realize it's actually the person who lived it and stuff. So I found some blog somebody wrote, some rock blog, and it explains some of this, and it contradicts a little bit what he said.
With this, I won't mention the guy's name because he's a used name now, but this kind of music supervisor, and I had some songs I had recorded. One that I did in my bedroom, and one from an old demo tape. And I sold them these 2 songs, and they were paying big money back then. It was like 20 grand a song.
Yeah.
Back then, it was different.
Yeah.
But the deal is he wanted a kickback. So if I got 40 grand, he wound up with 20 of it. But I didn't care. I'm figuring, hey, I got a relationship with the guy. I did a couple movies, and then he just got bigger than I would. Then I never heard from the guy again.
Okay, I'm going to give you his initials.
Okay.
DG.
EG.
DG.
Oh.
Chat,
David
wanna
Geffen.
guess? David Geffen. You got it. So
Yeah,
David
chat. Go ahead and
Geffen-
guess.
So David Geffen is exactly who this is. David Geffen. So Depp, after this, joins a band called the Rock City Angels. And this band, Depp leaves this band to go do 21 Jump Street and Platoon. The band is forced to break up. They all hate his guts because it screwed the band up and the momentum they had. So David Geffen turns his attention to, guess who?
The attractive young male.
Oh, close. And it's all a part of that LA Sunset Strip rock scene. What's the biggest band to come out of that scene,
Oh my God.
in your opinion?
There were many.
It's not even an opinion. It's probably, you could pretty much, I don't know who would debate you on this.
I know. Tell me.
Guns N' Roses.
Okay. All right.
So
Yeah,
the
that's
Rock
right.
City
Yeah, they
Angels
run
become-
David Geffen. Okay.
Right. So the Rock
All
City
right.
Angels really become Guns N' Roses because he just drops them and he turns his attention to Guns N' Roses and signs them, and they go on to you know what. And everybody from Rock City Angels just went scattered, and they blame Depp for the dissolution of the band and 21 Jump Street.
Okay.
And I think that who is he who? Oh God. Well, Depp's friends with all those guys. That whole he's friends with every rocker you could imagine.
It seems so.
So I know he knows Axl, and I know he knows Slash, and he knows Izzy Stradlin, and so that's a crazy story.
Interesting.
But I was like, man, this is great. I bought my first real recording setup. I wasn't recording on little cassettes anymore. And yeah, I always had an affinity to record. I always loved that part of it.
Did you record the kids' stuff too? Did you produce that early on, or?
Well, the first few recordings we did down here, we got to do with a guy by the name of Steve Klein, who was working out at Criteria, which was where Hotel California was recorded.
Wow.
Layla, I think it was Layla. Yeah, it was recorded there, and he was the house engineer, and he took a liking to us. And
just for context, this is 2017, and he's running Depp's music production company called Unison in the Infinitum Nile. It's like a branch of, and one of Tracy Jacobs' ex-agent's problem with Depp was she wasn't interested in this. She wasn't interested in the musical project. She thought his film career was on a downward spiral. He was choosing bad scripts. He's taken his eye off the ball completely, and she wanted no part of this. And one of the reasons she did not put enough effort into the music side, and he dropped her.
Okay.
Lauren Marie, welcome, Lauren. Good evening. Vacationing in Florida this week. I'm so late to the show. Lauren, we're lucky to have you on any level. I'm jealous. What part of Florida are you in? Hopefully it's Miramar. If you're anywhere near South Florida, please visit Johnny Depp's original hometown.
Yes,
Miramar,
find the house.
and tell us what, and find the house. If you can get there, please. That would be so great.
I doubt if you're vacationing in Florida, I doubt you're in Miramar.
She could be in Miami, or I think Fort Lauderdale's close to it too. She could be in one of those two places.
But we didn't really know who we were yet, and
Yeah.
nothing against him at the time, but his vision of who we were wasn't really what we thought we were. You just have those moments when you're like, okay, I trust this guy.
John O'Reilly asked me a question about Mariah Carey, as all you Depp fans want to know. Mariah Carey is from a town called it's very close to Opie's. It's Huntington Station.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like very, very northwest Suffolk County. And they called her Mirage in high school, and I never have had any experience whatsoever with Mariah Carey in high school. I would sit next to Mariah Carey in the nautical mile, and I would question if I would doubt her. She claims to be half black, and I would push back on that the whole time. I would
She
do a
is.
black trivia. I would do a black trivia contest with her. People
Oh
don't
my
think.
God.
I would have a how they do with Black Jeopardy on Howard. I would debate her, and I would have a Black Jeopardy with her at the actual bar.
Mm-hmm. That's nothing but disaster.
I think I know more about the struggle than she does.
Okay.
And the black experience. I'm positive.
And we were all in our either late teens or early 20s, and it just never really sounded like we did live. And the best recording we ever did is we were out here.
Dorian Morgan says Guns N' Roses type bands were a dime a dozen, and yeah, there's a zillion of them, and they all know each other. There was a band called L.A. Guns, which I think he brings up here, and they all sound the same. The names sound the same, and they're interchangeable. Rock City Angels, Guns N' Roses, L.A. Guns, and they all played with each other at some point. You're absolutely right, Dorian. Very incestuous, derivative kind of thing happening.
Rehearsing, and there was a mixer at some rehearsal studio we're at where Oingo Boingo happened to be rehearsing. And so
Pell writes a profound thing here. Depp going to music is like Michael Jordan going to baseball. When he played, he dropped out in 94, 95. Jordan played for the White Sox. And so far exceeding their craft, they can't think of anything else to so they get bored with it, and they go try to do something else that they previously loved just to prove they could do it. That's a brilliant comparison, Pell. Brilliant. And Jordan has all the baseball jokes to this day. It's and I would venture to say that Jordan is probably as good a baseball player as Depp is a guitarist. He's got a great glove. He's got great wheels. He did okay. And minor league baseball is the next tier. So that's a pretty brilliant comparison, Pell.
I set up this mixer with a cassette deck, and we made like a live demo there that a friend of mine shopped around for a while. But I remember the day we got here, I turned on MTV, and like Quiet Riot's the biggest thing. It's like, come on, Phil Noise is the #1 video on MTV, and I just knew we were late because we were just not that kind of band.
Yeah.
We were more like, the Clash meets the Alarm meets something like that. We weren't new wave, but we weren't metal with, Floyd Rose guitars.
Right.
How about the genre thing, Sarah? Do you think it's important to label yourself at that point a specific genre? Because they're all over the place. I don't even know what to call them.
I don't know. They play covers mainly, right?
They play they said they play their originals when they're allowed to play their originals. So they were told to play covers to get into these. You can't play these clubs unless you play covers, which is often the case.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think
I don't know what you would label them.
it's like it's not alternative, it's not quite punk, it's not straight rock, and how there's all sorts of there's got to be 1,000 musical genres.
I don't even know if I've heard one of their original songs.
I would let me say. You ever hear the Replacements?
Yeah.
I think they're close to them.
Okay.
That genre, which is a pretty damn good. That's a phenomenal. I mean, that band is so influential on that's kind of what I would maybe compare them to the most. David says the Viper Room, Depp, Sweetser House, Chateau Marmont, and the house that was the exterior for Nightmare on Elm Street are all off the Sunset. Wow. See this, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff is within 15 blocks of each other, says Debbie. The Viper Room, Depp Sweetser House, the Chateau Marmont, and Nightmare on Elm Street, where they filmed the first one, are all within 15 fucking blocks of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy? In a big city like that?
LA is one big movie set, so I buy it.
What else isn't David, isn't the Comedy Store like right above where the Sweetser House is? Because there's that footage of him and hanging out with Stanhope and his comedian friends, and he jumps on stage, and it was I didn't realize how close the Comedy Store is to where that house is, and that's how all those comedians. So they were invited. It wasn't Bert Kreischer and Tom
Mm-hmm. Well,
Segura, so they went over to
I don't
Depp's
know.
house.
I don't know if you can buy that.
I know that's true. He's a fabulous. Could be a fake story.
Sort of like a. I just had this sick feeling. I think we're a little bit late, but I still don't regret the move.
No,
not at all.
You were on your own tip, and it was a cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool tip to be on.
At the best, we might have been on behind the music at one point. It worked out for John. It worked out for Johnny, and I'm glad it did.
Does.
To a point.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. I mean, that's. And then so after that, I just started playing around town with people, meeting people, doing different things. Then I did a tour with Adam Ant.
What was that?
In the '90s.
What was that like?
What happened is I had I kept going even after the kids left. I'd put a band together, get some manager, do some demos for this guy or that guy, and I had this band going, and he had come and seen us play, and he asked me if we could be his backup band and play the K-Rock Christmas show for him.
Wow, yeah, the K-Rock Acoustic Christmas or whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it was either 92, I forget what it was. And I'm like, yeah, sure, we'd be happy to do it.
Huge show.
Yeah, and he was, it was the first time I felt like, wow, this crowd loves this guy.
Yeah.
Adam Ant. So I said this before. Adam Ant comes up in that trial when he talks about people who Depp was jealous of. And I don't know what the fuck is with this guy and Adam Ant. Brian Janerick, he's a complicated man, but nobody understands it. But lady, his arm is shaft. Brian Janu, welcome, sir. Welcome. We love you. And thank you for your benevolence the other night in the Radio Gunk chat. Don't think I didn't see it.
We did like a quick 4 or 5 songs. And then after that, he asked me to go out and play bass with him he asked me to do a tour, and then I did his record that was called Wonderful.
Very cool. And if there's cool rhythmic stuff going on.
Off he goes. How about the genre? We got too much money.
Exactly.
David should do a tour like Monique should. Yeah, you should, David. Babs DeRush is absolutely right. Thank you, Barbara. You should do on your Instagram of a tour of all the shit. It would be phenomenal. Go to the Glenn Lance house in Nightmare on Elm Street, and the Viper Room, and the Sweetser house, and Barbara. That is so good, absolutely.
I'd rather he walked downtown.
You'd rather what?
I'd rather he walk downtown and enter the Eastern Columbia building and go up to the penthouse level so I can.
That'd be good too. That'd be really good. And tell us what the distance, the actual distance from the Eastern Columbia building to the Sweetser house.
I need him to dive into the penthouse level pool, and I need him to tell me what the water feels like and give me a sample of the water. Thank you.
Do a power walk. Do an Oprah and Stedman power walk from the Viper from the Sweetser house to the Eastern Columbia
with leg
building.
warmers on. Olivia in tribute to Olivia Newton-John, I need you to put on leg warmers, a headband, and an outfit consisting of horizontal striped tights. Thank you.
I saw Adam Ant in an episode of it was either The Equalizer or Miami Vice, which I tried to binge watch both of them in the last couple of years. And he looks like you would like that Depp look. He's got that kind of, spiky punk look, and there's a lot of similarities there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Comedy Store is nestled. David loves saying nestled in there as well. Thank you, sir. I knew it was right. I'll totally do a Depp tour. I'm down. Thank you, David. I know you will. I cannot wait We'll just give you the the Eastern Columbia building and
If you're going to
all.
be in the area, we'll give you some deppening flyers. Can you staple them like old school to the telephone
Yes.
poles?
Yes. Great idea.
Adam stuff, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. It's like, in all honesty, it was a part of me when I was younger. I didn't totally dig it and get it.
Yeah.
It's probably because Lori liked it and Johnny, everybody liked it. So I'm like, I'm not gonna like this.
Who's Lori, Sarah?
First wife, Lori Depp.
Yep. Lori Allison Depp. And
Mhm.
she still uses his last name. They've
Yep,
been
and she's
divorced
still
for
entrenched in his camp. So,
they've been divorced for 37 years,
mhm.
and she still uses his last
As
name.
would I.
Yes, Brendan, a Stu Chrysler tribute with the leg warmers. Yes, and Capizio's.
I like Elvis Costello, Joe Jackson,
Yeah.
fuck this. But then when I went to play with him, and we're at rehearsal in London, and I'm the only American there, and everybody's sitting around. I'm like, what are we doing? And they're like, well, Adam, is not going to be here for a week. I'm like, so what are we going to do? Just sit around? I said, let's fucking rehearse.
You talked about my kid again, just like in London, like you designed.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
That's from the audio tape, the leaked, the Depp heard couples therapist audio where she insults. She goes, how does it go, Sarah? She goes, Jack needs
Oh,
to be
yeah,
taught how
okay,
to be.
okay. Yeah. Maybe. And she's drunk or high on something. Maybe, I hope to God, Jack's stepfather teaches him how to be a man. He's got more man than you have in your left nut, or something like that.
And so then there's a couple of beats, and then it hits Depp, and this hits a note, and he just goes, "Oh, really? You brought up my kid again, just like in London, like you designed." So I listened to that thing about 1,000 times, and I cannot understand the last word. He just goes,
I think
"Oh, great! You brought up my kid again, just like in London, like you design." And I can't tell if he says decide or design, and he like puts them
probably
together.
design.
I can't.
I
Neither
don't
word
know.
makes sense in the context.
Design makes more sense. Like she designed to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wish, is the Viper Room still standing? Because I would kill for a deppening flyer to be stapled to the outside of the Viper Room just for the
Well,
photo.
the status was they're knocking it down, and a huge hotel
No, it's
is going in its place, and the
it's a residential complex.
oh, okay, but then they're going to have a restaurant
Yeah. Oh God,
called the
that's right.
Viper Room within the complex, right?
They're
Isn't that
doing
how?
like a Disney version of the Viper Room restaurant. Yeah, downstairs of this residential complex. So it's going to be a much kinder, gentler Viper Room, probably with a buffet. Oh God.
That should be the name of it. A kinder, gentler Viper Room.
Yeah,
David says
nobody overdosing with a speedball in that bathroom.
I shouldn't laugh at that. See, that's
It happened.
that's Richie Albertini territory. The speedball, the fucking River Phoenix speedball, which I didn't realize was like 5 drugs
We
combined.
we must find humor in tragedy eventually.
John Frusciante. By the way, that's going to be my next Depp upload on our Patreon. The short film Depp directed with John, ironically, is about an anti-drug message with the Chili Peppers, John Frusciante. It's called Stuff, and it's like what is it, Sarah? 14 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
And I want to thank Boff for finding a really good copy of it, because the one I had was way too fucking pixelated. David says, yes, I'll dress as Jack Sparrow like the crazy homeless people in Hollywood and Highland and hand out deppening flyers. They have all this people, they dress as superheroes and movie characters. And Barbara DeRush. Oh my God, David, please do it. Oh, he's getting so much. You got it. Now he's got so much pressure on him. Rideshare guy 5.0.
I like, before you go on, I like seeing a new name in the chat.
Yeah, me too.
But excuses for Baker Mayfield.
Oh, he's coming after you in the Browns? Okay, I didn't realize. Baker had 0 season first 3 years. Cleveland won only 1 game in the 2 years before he got there. No, I agree with you, Rideshare. I agree with you. He turned an 11-5 season out. He had some exciting games. They didn't really give him a chance for maturation. You didn't see a fully formed Baker Mayfield. I'm a fan, and I'm rooting for the Panthers to do well
Have
with
fun,
him.
Carolina.
He's such a fucking
Rideshare guy, are you a
turn-
Browns fan? I need to know because I love you if you are. And we will agree to disagree.
I would say he. I heard that the Browns have a massive following.
Of course.
They have this thing called sports bars around America where
Browns backer bars.
Yes. So the Steelers, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Packers lead America in blank backers. So Steeler backers, Browns backers. So they infiltrate and flood a bar in their city, and it's on Sunday with the NFL
Portland.
ticket. It's nothing. Yeah. So it's one bar kowtows to one out-of-town team.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize they were nationally popular like that. I'm glad to see it.
And Rideshare guy, please join our chat more.
Melvin says Depp's North Sweetser house is 0.2 miles.
Yep.
A 1-minute drive to the Comedy Store. So I think it's like you walk through the woods or something on your right. It's like cutting through a path on your.
I just don't believe that Bert Kreitzer ever went to Depp's house.
Well, actually, I have to say, Stanhope confirmed it in the interview that I saw.
All right.
I'll find it and you can watch it.
I still don't believe it.
G Canada's gonna say Arm's Viper room.
It's all
You're
right.
a badass, Arm. G Canada's, of course, goes right to this. Oh, Arm, you're such a badass. A speedball is 2 drugs combined, for your information. But coming from a guy who waited until 21 to get drunk, I'm really not surprised you don't.
Arm is a party animal out of the two of us.
I made up for lost time, G Canada, believe me.
I've never been drunk. I'm 44.
My nephew and
That's
my
pitiful.
brother-in-law have the best alcohol tolerance I've ever seen. They were drinking moonshine at Christmas Eve, and it was
I have a gallon of moonshine. I could take a picture, and I've never been drunk in my life. And I don't even drink it, but I have a full bar almost.
They were drinking moonshine, and it was like they were drinking Coors Light. There was no effect. It was nothing. I couldn't believe it. It was like the tolerance Depp has.
Yeah.
The heavyweight tolerance. Sarah, how long has that alcohol been?
It's dusty. I'm looking at it.
It's dusty.
I'll
use
take
it
a
that
picture of
infrequent?
it.
Okay.
I'll put it in the community tab on our channel.
They said on our chat that they would light up the super chats if you would do a drunk deppening.
Oh God.
They would light up the super chats if you would do a 2.5, 3 hour.
I'm scared. I'm scared to get drunk. Now that I think about it.
No, that's the point. That's the point. They want to see you scared and angry.
What if I turn the camera on and I'm sitting here topless, drunk, and I don't even realize it?
Now you got
How many
Melvin's
super
attention.
chats would I get?
Now you got Melvin's attention.
So I picked up the album. It had the lyrics and
You're turning into a OnlyFans cam girl now.
There's a market for my body type, apparently. So whatever
with
we gotta do.
With the blacks? You mean with the blacks?
I mean, whatever we gotta do to get these fees paid for this podcast.
The Viper Room has gigs booked on their calendar into November 2022, says Melvin. Let's get a Deppening flyer. Oh, that's such a good idea, Melvin. Melvin is an animal research guy. There's like the other night, there was something we requested in the gunk, and Melvin, I predicted Melvin would be the first one to get it, and he did not let me down. He, of course, did.
I need to correct G Canada. He says 38 double D is huge on OnlyFans. I am a 34, 36 double D. So will I still get like an audience for that?
That got Melvin's attention. I'm telling you, Melvin's the Mr. Skin of the Deppening.
And I spill over the top. Just to put that visual in your head, I still spill over the top.
Camille Vasquez and Sarah, Scissor Sisters. Edward Scissor Sisters, we're going to call it.
sleeve. This shows how far back I'm talking. There was CDs, but they had albums there.
Yeah.
Hashtag Amber hates Camilla, says G Canada.
That was
and then I started to like.
She wouldn't hate Camilla if she met him. Did
you realize what you just did? That was like a very Depp-like audio laugh.
Oh, maybe we can. I didn't even know I did it. Maybe we can get it.
Remember when she left the room after she insulted him and he laughed?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Let's continue.
Amber hate. If Amber knew Sarah's cartoon cat Camilla, G Canada, she wouldn't hate cats.
Like really read the lyrics and understand where he was coming from, and I became like a new fan.
Yeah,
of
it happens.
what he was about. You know,
Welcome, Babe
that happens
Lewis.
sometimes. You're like, and then you learn it, and you're like,
yeah.
Jessica.
And that's why I'm.
Yeah.
That's why I'm down in Miami. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And they're
That's where they're originally from. So he's back really where he lived. Did I ever show you that they did a charity for Dan Marino's charity? It was like I think it was an autism charity. I think is Make a Wish or so the kids had reunited and did a Dan Marino charity concert. It's probably like 2014, 15 kind of thing.
Yeah.
touring with Adam and that's
With Adam, yeah, they're supporting him. Yeah.
very cool. Are they having
It
fun?
was interesting because oh yeah, they're having a blast. You know, I met his. You know, I've always known Adam, but I never thought about asking him, you know, to take them out. But I actually hired.
John O'Reilly signs off on the Dog Pound is the biggest fan group around. John, you ain't kidding. Sarah showed me these podcasts that are on YouTube. One of them is the Brownies post game with.
That's like
I really like that one.
That's our Browns Brother podcast because we have talked about each other's shows on the other podcast.
Mike Killian, his father, Dan.
Yes.
Really love them both. And Mike Restano.
I'm in their chat sometimes.
Yeah. And they do a like pre-game, post-game show, and then do a show. I love the. What's he called? Empty Backfield. I love that.
He hasn't done that in a while. Anyway, sorry everybody.
Okay. And they just do, and they just know they know the depth charts, and like it really makes me feel like a Luddite, like an absolute ignoramus. Like you think you know a lot about the NFL until you listen to these guys. And then there's a Cleveland sports show with fucking
there's about 24 of these. So
and there's like it's endless. It's crazy. And that guy
I watch them all.
Quincy
Carrier,
right? So when you click onto one, they just keep showing up on your YouTube recommendations. It's endless, John O'Reilly. Sarah, there's got to be 15 of these Brown shows
easily.
Oh, I had no idea they had such a national fan base. But I mean, it's local too, though. Oh, I didn't, and they disappeared for years. They went to fucking Baltimore. How pissed are they when the Ravens won 2 Super Bowls? That should be the Browns.
Yeah, of course.
This publicist that knew him and said he was going out on tour. I said, well, I would never ask him, but if you want to tell him it's my kid's band and send him the music, and if he's into it, that'd be great. So she sent him, what we had done at the time. It was a couple years back, and he liked it. And this is probably it'll be probably the 120th show I think they've done with him.
Jeez.
Over them since 2016.
He's played with two generations of Witkins.
Exactly.
His daughter is in a band now, Sarah. He's in a punk band. I think you're muted, Sarah.
Yep, I sure am. Appy says he's turned off. I think I'm paraphrasing. He's turned off because I said I was premenopausal. I'm thinking I am. I'm just very emotional, and I'm 44. It's coming down the pike. Pete.
This chick has more periods than a Hemingway novel, for Christ's sake. Huh?
You just killed boners.
Should have said Thompson.
Funny.
His crowd his crowd likes him.
Yeah, he likes them, and they're professional. They don't fuck around. They just do their job, and he likes that because I'm sure he's been through crazy opener slots. People not showing up. And, but back to what I was going to say before. The other thing about Adam is he was just so.
Canada hates Coors Light, by the way. It's like it's one step above Poland Spring. It's if you love the taste of beer, Coors Light's way too. It's there's beers now that have like 52 calories or something. Like they have there's a version of there's a version of Miller Bud, what is it called? Bud, oh crap, I forget the name of it.
I say these like very subtle stuttering John references. You have no idea what I'm talking about. It makes me laugh.
I know he's Coors Light on the balcony and shit. Put some vodka in that peach iced tea, says Barbara DeRush. She's right.
That's a good
Sarah.
idea.
That's exactly what you should do. And you should take my drinking coach advice and just do a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to, you don't even need like a rim shot glass. Just do like one swirl pour. So like I have 1 ounce of vodka into literally 32 ounces of your iced tea.
How big is this? I'm looking at this vodka bottle. I don't even know sizes of vodka bottles. I have probably like if you added all my vodka bottles, they're like half full. I have like a gallon of vodka,
And you
probably.
have to, it's got to be iced out though. You can't have it. It's got
Yeah,
to
I
be.
can't. It makes me sick thinking about room
Yeah.
temperature vodka.
Yeah.
Let's get through the Witkin
David says,
man.
if you send me a Deppening flyer, I'll take a picture of me holding it across the street from the Viper room. So you could, that would be so great, David.
Okay.
The artistic side to him about the way the show looked and what the banners were going to be like and the backdrop and the T-shirts. And, you know, it made me understand, you know, about that guy. Yeah, in 84, yeah.
This is
me and
as I do. By the way, for civilians who don't know, the kids, you were in a band with Johnny Depp. The kids, you guys
Right.
moved out here together from
Right.
Florida, right? You guys all
yeah, in 84, yeah.
This is
It was me, him, and Joe Malone was on guitar, and Bill Hanty was on drums. That was the four of us.
okay. I'm just
That guy Joe Malone he just brought up. I tried to friend him on Facebook. I don't know where it's. I got to go back and look just to see where. He's just completely moved on. But he was on. That's the extent I went. This is probably 5-6 years ago. I found him on Facebook. Joe Malone.
Okay.
giving
The
you.
word,
So
yeah.
people that don't know, and
Yeah.
that must have been cool, you know, in the beginning. Okay.
John O'Reilly wants to produce a Mariah Carey movie with me called The Nautical Mile.
Okay.
I'm going to tell her how much I love glitter too, by the way.
Got that out there. I saw you also did some stuff. I'm just going through this because I saw it. Drive Blind. You produced Drive Blind?
What happened was that I was good friends with this a guy who was running Interscope, running a part of Interscope, and they were doing a record with some producer.
Let me jump ahead. That's
It tuned open D, the whole thing, like. And once I got his guitar in there, it sounded right to me. But until then, Stairway to Heaven, you couldn't touch him, and that's
a lot of.
I think sometimes, I think sometimes people don't realize that. They just think some guys get in a room and rock out. When it's more than that, it's like a whole idea and a focus, and you do it because you love it, and you do it because you want it to be the best it can be. I remember I got to work with Andy Johns, the legendary Andy Johns. Did Stairway to Heaven? Did Black Dog? He's Glenn.
See, they just have access to everybody. Through Depp, you have access to every fucking rock and roll Hall of Famer, dinosaur rocker, and he could just whatever he wants, he gets. And so Witkin has access to him through Depp. John O'Reilly said, "Hey Sarah, do you miss Memorial Stadium?"
I don't know. Was that the old
that's the
Browns
old,
Stadium?
Yes.
No, because I didn't follow them then. I have a weird Browns fandom history, so it's hard to explain.
You don't. There's no Bernie Kosar with you or Brian Sipe or anything like that.
I appreciate their history. I just wasn't a part of the fandom at that point.
It's so weird. I mean, you latched on to them. They were 1-15 the year that you started liking
They
them?
were winless.
Oh my god! Oh, they were 0-16.
Yeah.
Holy shit! And
I needed. It's so weird. It doesn't make sense when I explain it. But I was getting back into football after a marriage of no sports whatsoever, and I wanted an underdog team. So it was between them and and Tampa Bay, and of course I go with the Browns.
Why Tampa Bay? You just like going for like
Tampa
the shitty,
sucks. Tampa Bay was awful when I started.
the pre-Tom
following
Brady
them.
Buccaneers.
Exactly. And then of course they go on to win a Super Bowl, and I'd be in heaven now. But I like the
The lovable
smaller
loser.
market underdog teams.
Well,
That's
that's
my NBA team. That's Portland, of course. I like the Seahawks. They're a distant second to the Browns, but the Browns have my heart.
Well, this is what's great about the NFL. There's no such thing as market. They don't give a shit. There's no such thing.
Slightly, but not as bad as the NBA.
There isn't, because a Steeler Packers Super Bowl is like bigger than a Jets a Rams Jets Super Bowl. So LA versus New York means nothing to the NFL. They
Yeah.
would rather have Cowboys Steelers. What would be another AFC team that would be of interest? I mean, the Patriots are big now, but they weren't always. like a Patriots Cowboys Super Bowl is massive to the NFL.
No, when I was the
Their
last time I was
cities
into
don't matter.
the last time I was into the NFL, the Patriots were garbage. And then I took, what, 20 years off?
Yeah, the Patriots were when I was a kid. They, like Steve Grogan and Tony Collins and Stanley Moore, they were on. If you lived in Long Island and you had a Rabbit Ears TV, you could get New England's NBC and get Patriot games on in the right kind of weather. And I remember watching the Patriots on Channel 6.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's kind of like, he Club Soda
Glenn
Kenny.
John's brother, Glenn's legendary too.
Right.
But I got to work with Andy a little bit in my small place because first time I met him, he was going to do a record with L.A. Guns. And
there's L.A. Guns, Sarah. So they were right. Who was it? Dorian Morgan? There you go. That's the fucking same crew, that incestuous rock scene. L.A. Guns, Guns N' Roses, and this Rock City Angels, which really never made it. That was supposed to be Guns N' Roses, thanks to Geffen.
They called me, and because I knew some of those guys, they said, "Hey, man, we're going to have Andy Johns do drums for us, and then you'll finish it." I'm like, cool. I said, but Andy Johns, like the Andy Johns? And they're like, yeah.
G Canada lives 2.5 hours from Cleveland. I didn't realize it was that close to Canada. I know it's north and everything, but I didn't realize it was it's 2.5 hours away from the border? Huh. I didn't realize that. Yeah, G Canada said that it's there's 2 seasons, summer and winter. There's no in between. It's either hot and annoying and sticky or too cold for everybody, which is weird. If that's the case, Sarah, Melvin wants to offer you his Detroit Lions. Will you take them?
That's even a little obscene, even for me.
No, that's exactly what you're talking about. The Detroit Lions is exactly what the fucking Browns are.
Yeah.
I said, well, I need to call this guy because, one, I've never met him, and I mean, I had a Pro Tools studio. I had good mic feeds, but I was still recording into a computer. And so I called Andy, and I'm like, "Hi, Andy." He goes, "Hello." I'm like, he goes,
by the Viper and start Chucky Weiss, Red Bean.
Okay.
Just a different era.
So this is when Depp is about to buy the Viper Room, and he's right there in the beginning of it and involved in the whole thing, which I had no idea.
Different, and Jimmy Page wasn't going to give up anything to anybody, but still, he did great work after Zeppelin. He did some great stuff with Van Halen and things like that. But it was hard because sometimes I could tell he wasn't happy working on what he was working on, but he just took the gig because he needed the gig,
Mm-hmm.
Just working in my little studio, teaching him how to work it on a mouse.
Wow.
It's a trip.
That is a trip. You did Chucky Weiss, Red Beans and Weiss.
Well,
yeah.
Well, Chucky, I mean, I've known Chucky since the Central.
Right.
Okay, Sarah. So the Central, that's the video that I just posted on our Patreon, where they end up at this place with Sal. They stage that fake choking thing in the alley with Sal Janko and Dennis Leary. That's the Viper Room, what they called it the Central at the time. So that year predates the Viper Room. He's going into the origins. That guy, Chucky Weiss, Chucky's enough. That's the song. He's playing on stage when they walk into that club with Jonathan Ross in that convertible interview.
Back in the day.
Now, Chucky talked, the rumors Chucky talked got Johnny to buy the Viper and start the club there, right? Is that correct?
That's what I believe that was the rumor. Yeah, I mean, I was around at the time, and I heard Johnny bought the place, and I was excited for him. I remember going in the Central, crawling in the ceilings, taking the snakes out, and redoing the PA when we first.
So he's crawling. He's helping him build it, crawling around the ceiling, pulling the snakes out. I got a snake you can pull, Witkin. Right, Sarah?
Okay.
I got a Viper. G Canada goes, I'm 2 hours from Buffalo, 25. Buffalo. Detroit's only 4. God, he's like the same. That's pretty crazy. You can go to Detroit, Buffalo, and Cleveland in the same exact distance almost. That's really strange to me. That's so cool. Those are great NFL cities too.
When he first opened the place in 94, 93, 94, yeah. And Johnny loved the place. I mean, he took pride in it. It was interesting because he wanted to just have a cool place to hang, and Chucky would play there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Chucky's just a very interesting talent, man, and he's always been that guy, and he's a sweetheart. You know, yeah, we did that. We did that at Johnny's place too.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Record that Chucky did.
Yeah, Sarah, how do you get through talking about the Browns? You don't bring up the greatest NFL player in history, according to most that watch them play, Jim Brown.
He's a very controversial player, and we have enough controversial players on the team now. I don't need to remind you.
I met him at Central Park West, and he was mountain biking.
You do
through that main area. No, I didn't do push-ups this time. And I saw him. I turned around and looked behind me. I see Jim Brown, and I complimented him in a way that was different because I told him how great he was in Any Given Sunday. So he was in that Oliver Stone football movie, Any Given Sunday. I think he played the offensive or defensive coordinator in the movie. I genuinely thought he was great in the movie. That intimidating, and he was really nice. I was wearing a Leroy Horde jersey, which is a Browns fullback, but it was the Vikings version of it. Jim Brown is from Manhasset, Long Island, and he was my father's favorite player. And I told him, my dad said he was like by far the best football player he ever done. And Brown looked at me and goes, "That sounds like a smart man." And he's super intimidating. Even though he was really nice to me, he has got the biggest scowl. Like he could just make you just spineless and speechless with just a look. He could take you down with a look. He's so intimidating.
I watch and I forward you the episodes. I watch a Browns organization. It's Building the Browns anyway. It's produced by the team. It's a great show. But they will show Jim Brown coming in to mentor the younger players, and seeing him just so like disabled now from that career in football. And you know, he's one step away from wearing a leather helmet back in those days. But just seeing him so disabled and, you know, physically limited, it's so sad. You like get a lump in your throat. And these young kids, they don't appreciate who he was, you know. They're just like, "Yeah, man, I got some rims on my vehicle now. Who are you?" It's like, okay.
I remember being I think I was in elementary school, and there was a cover of Sports Illustrated, and he was in a Raiders uniform, and they teased he was going to make a comeback because he was so disgusted that he felt he was better than every contemporary running. It never happened. I don't know what happened.
You know, Art Modell fired him because he wanted to go do movies.
He was pretty successful. I mean, he's been in like The Dirty Dozen. He was in Mars Attacks, Tim Burton's movie. So he's got, if you look at his IMDb, it's like better than fucking.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, he's always sweet. He's always been a really cool guy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that when I moved out here in '83, it's like, you got to go to Monday night and see Chucky. I mean, you haven't seen Chucky yet?
So Sarah, that was Monday night. They were going. So this is exactly the thing we saw. So when that Jonathan Ross interview, it was Monday night, and they were on the way to this place to see this guy play, and it became the site of the Viper Room.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say Jim Brown's got a better movie career than Amber Heard does.
Of course.
Like, okay. Back then, after the band, the kids broke up, I had a band called the Lonely Bulls, and we used to play with Chucky all the time. We were sort of like the Everly Brothers with a loud drummer. That's what we were like. And
wow.
I remember we played 2 New Years with Chucky once at the Central before it turned over to the Viper.
Yeah,
I think like 88 and 89.
Yeah, I moved here in '89. I barely remember the Central. It's a foggy memory, but I went there a couple of times. It was pretty much the same.
G. Canada says that all the Rust Belt cities, Pittsburgh is by far the nicest, not even close.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that too, G. Canada. I've never been there, but I have heard that.
Same setup as it is now.
Pretty much. You couldn't really do much. Yeah, you couldn't change it that much.
Yeah. But the early days on, did you do you have any?
Yeah, the only thing the WWF, Sarah, reminds me of what you said about Jim Brown just now. All those wrestlers that never got compensated.
Mm-hmm.
The entire WWF, the ones that, you know, kind of paved the way.
Yeah.
memories or stories of those early days? Any other ones? Any tidbits?
Oh yeah, I mean, the Central was always a place that you could go play, but then when it became the Viper Room, through all the times I'd put a band together and find some manager. I mean, I was always knew that I had a home there to play, and it was, one, obviously because I knew Johnny and Sal were running the place, but everybody they were just so cool to us that, we would get to play on a good night, and I would always just say, let my friends in for free because parking's expensive. We don't care to make money. We just want to have fun,
Mm-hmm.
And, some of my favorite gigs were done there.
I agree with Brendan, what he says here about the big boss man. In terms of wrestlers' faces, he had that face where it's just like him or Bam Bam Bigelow, Brendan, I would say, had the most intimidating look.
We were on the Adam Ant tour. The first one I did, we wound up doing an unannounced show at the Viper Room.
That's cool.
With Adam Ant. I remember it was probably in '95 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But oh yeah, so many memories there. I remember opening night of the Viper Room was Tom Petty.
Uh-huh. You were there?
Yep.
You were there?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, because I helped them put the first PA in there. I wasn't going to be a sound man. It wasn't my shtick, but Johnny's like, what do we buy? What should we get? And so we wound up shopping and, wiring everything up.
And who and what was the video Depp was in? Into the Great Wide Open.
Okay.
So wouldn't it be fitting that Tom Petty would open the Viper Room in '93, a scant year after that video hit on MTV?
I remember testing the PA early on.
It's a good sounding room to begin with.
It always is a great sounding room. Always was.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And, I got a lot of fond memories. I remember I would get these calls from Johnny like at 1 a.m. Hey man, what are you doing?
Depp's calling a married Bruce Witkin at 1 a.m. with his wife next to him and said, Hey Bruce, come on down. We're jamming right now with Tom. So you're gonna love the name he brings up during this. It's none other than Michael Hutchence. 1 a.m. He's calling him up to get out of bed to play guitar with him. It's such a wacky fucking life.
Yeah, I got a lot of fond memories. I remember I would get these calls from Johnny like at 1 a.m. Hey man, what are you doing? Like the phone would ring and she'd look at me. She goes, "Gotta be Johnny." I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, I can't remember his name at the moment. The singer from NXS. What was his name?
Michael Hutchence.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Johnny calls. He goes, "Michael's here." It was somebody's birthday. He goes, "You want to come down and jam?" I'm like, "I'll be there. Give me 10 minutes."
Wow.
So I go down.
Just a heads up, sir. Bruce Witkin forgets Kate Moss's name. You think I have dementia? Listen to this. I heard a little of this before. Okay. I haven't listened to the whole thing.
There, and I get those calls from him every once in a while because, his first love was music, and so, he'd call me up. He'd know I'd always be there. I'd show up, whatever time Sue would go. Sue goes, "Johnny, okay, I guess I'm going to the club." And that happened for a while, but some great shows there. I mean, over the years still now, but I couldn't believe some of the things you saw there. First time I saw Black Crowes jamming there, or Jacob Dylan, or Beck. These bands that just wanted to play there because it was the happening spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's still the same way it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. So you were the on-call, we need a guitar player, we need a bass player, get over here.
Yeah, he knew he could depend on me and I'd be there, so.
You'd hold your own and make...
Yeah, and it was always fun,
Yeah.
And all the people that have always worked there have always been cool,
Yeah, that crew back there was really cool.
Yeah.
All of them.
Hard-hitting questions by this Tommy Black, right? The crew is really cool.
I think it's more than 5 questions. As I promised.
I remember seeing Michael Hutchence.
The problem is, I don't think he's asked a question yet. He's just kind of drafting on what he said.
One time with Helena Christensen in the downstairs bar, I was like, "Whoa!"
Right.
Yeah.
Well, who is the model Johnny was going out with? The English
Kate
one?
Moss.
It was her birthday. That was her birthday Yeah, it was her birthday, and Hutchinson was there, and that's when I showed up.
Wow.
And it was like, I think it was after hours even. So
Wow.
we might have shut the club down.
Still just wanted to jam after hours.
For all you Californians, what's the deal with the drinking rules there? Do the bars close at 1 or 2 or 4? Is it? Because in New York, it's 4. 2 is early to me, and 1's really early. That's kind of, and so they had like an after hours kind of thing to kick everybody out, and then that becomes the real party starts. Cirque au Soleil Moonfry, says Affy.
Yeah, the guys wanted to play after hours, so.
Very cool. It's a clubhouse, musical clubhouse.
Bathhouse.
So cool. I also saw you did some stuff with Joe Perry. That came from the Hollywood Vampires, I would imagine.
Yeah, what kind of happened first was I had met Joe and Steven from Aerosmith. Well, I forget where we met them. I think Johnny had ran into to Steven Tyler at one of the Pirates premieres.
Mm-hmm.
I forget which one. And Tyler was really nice. So he invited, Johnny called me and goes, "Hey, man, Aerosmith wants me to go down to the studio. You want to go?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I want to go." So we went down over to the Swing House where they were recording.
Cool.
And it was Joe was there and Steven, and we just hung out like flies on the wall and just listened. And I met Jack Douglas, who I love.
Jack Douglas.
I've always loved as a producer and a friend of mine now.
Good friend of mine.
And we just kind of all hit it off. And the first thing I did with Joe was he wanted to do a Christmas, like a Christmas EP, because they were in the middle of something.
Mm-hmm.
Like Aerosmith was taking a little time off.
Okay, we'll stop it there. We'll put his turn on Depp after this. There's a little more to this, but we'll stop it here. David says all the bars in LA close early. They actually close at 2 a.m. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just like a state law. Can you buy alcohol 24 hours, or is it just shut down?
It's illegal to sell alcohol after 2 a.m.
In Oregon, or
No, I'm talking about California.
Oh, you know this?
I Googled it when you asked the question.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so cut to, this is 2017. They're in great stead, and they have great men. He's working. He's the head of Depp's Infinitum Nihil Unison Music arm of the Infinitum Nihil, and cut to the Fairfax trial. And this is what we're at. This is where we're at. This is Bruce Witkin during the Depp Heard Fairfax trial, testifying against his former best friend, and it's very,
Is this the whole testimony?
I'm just gonna skim through it. Okay, Bruce Witkin, okay, right here.
All right, perfect timing. The sidebar has broken up. The jury is in the courtroom. First witness of the day will be video deposition, and the individual's name is Bruce Witkin, just starting.
And did Depp ever become family?
To me? Yeah.
Who was the first person that Depp married?
My sister-in-law, Lori Ann Allison, yes.
Okay. And was that around the time?
It's right when we moved out here in 1984.
Okay. So how long have you known Mr. Depp? How many years?
It's got to be over 40, maybe from 82 to now.
And would you consider yourself friends with Mr. Depp?
We were until about 4 years ago, yeah.
Okay. And before 4 years ago, were you close friends?
Yeah, I would consider him my best friend, yeah.
Was he like a brother to you before 4 years ago?
I mean, yeah, we were brothers. You would call me a brother, I'd call him a brother, yeah. I mean, we had a lot in common.
Is it fair to say that he was like family before 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, he was friends with my mom. My mom loved him. I mean, yeah, we were as close as you can get.
And do you agree to tell the truth today, regardless of your...
Watching this, I didn't realize his mom was their booking agent, so I had no idea. until we just listened to that. So that interview is 5 years before this.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom is their booking agent all those years. I had no idea.
Your close past friendship with Mr. Depp.
I tell the truth either way. Yes.
From about 2011 until 2016, how often do you think that you would? How often do you estimate that you would have communicated with Mr. Depp?
A lot. We were working a lot of music together. We did a film together. Well, he did the film. I just helped record.
So Melbourne has an addendum. LA is currently bar 2 a.m. bar close time, but legislation just passed a law now pushing it to 4 a.m., Sarah. So that works out for you because nobody goes out, pushes the limits of night crawling more than you do.
I've been up for an hour at that point, getting
You've
ready for
actually
work.
been up.
Record some stuff. A lot of time between that era. But him and I spent a lot of time from around 2001 till 2015. You know, yeah.
Based on your personal observations from 2011 to 2016, did Mr. Depp ever abuse illicit drugs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that abuse is the wrong word, but, you know, I think that, yeah, it was going on. You know, it wasn't like crazy rock and roll house. No, it was just, yeah. But I wouldn't call it abuse.
What word would you use instead of abuse?
Getting high.
What? Oh.
Getting high.
Look at Depp here. Does this depress you at all, Sarah? The broken up friendship and where
No,
it's at now?
he won't make eye contact, even though it's on video. He won't look anybody in the eye that has disrespected him or.
Right.
And this, you know, allegedly this guy took millions of dollars from him.
Well, Depp has an ability too to not crack a smile whenever he doesn't. If
I
you
think
notice,
he's tuning them out. He's
yeah,
listening, but he's not giving them the satisfaction. And he probably knows that
it's
Witkin is interested in
yeah.
regrowing the friendship, and this is the biggest fuck you to Witkin he can give.
I would love to hear Depp's take on Wick because we have not heard it. He hasn't brought him up at all, and he's
He probably
staring at.
never will.
It's depressing. And could you imagine having a best friend of yours of that long turn on you like that in front of your face, watching the testimony in front of this many people, and just and he's turned on you 100%, not a little
Mhm.
bit. He's testifying against him. He is an Amber Heard witness.
Mhm.
He is an Amber. Can you really grasp that? He is an Amber Heard witness. Your best friend since you were teenagers and you got to listen to this, and you're staring down, and he'll crack a smile like when Witkin says something cute. Depp is stone face. He is not going to even show you any kind of reaction of any kind. Or this is to me, these were the most fascinating parts of the trial. The people, Tracy Jacobs, and this. It just in the way that to hear someone you have that history with turn on you right in front of your face. I think
Yep.
that's crazy shit. And I don't know if I've ever been if I've ever had this kind of defection in my life. I could probably think about that. I'm sure there's something I can think of.
I'm sure everybody does.
Okay. Getting high on cocaine?
Yeah, once in a while, if I saw it, I mean, a handful of times I saw it.
This guy has some miles on him, says Barbara DeRusha. He looks like Pacino and John Turturro had a kid and throw in some Saljanko. He looks rough. Yeah, it's February 17th, 2022, 1:16 in the afternoon. This is not.
I don't think he liked to do it in front of me.
Did you ever observe forgetfulness in Mr. Depp after he'd been drinking or using substances?
Forgetfulness? No, I think that he's got a pretty good memory, but, my personal experience with him, no.
Did Mr. Depp's drugs or alcohol ever impact the band when you were bandmates or its music performances?
We were all young. No, we were kids. We all did bad stuff then.
Are you aware of Mr. Depp achieving any period of sobriety during the years that you've known him?
Yeah.
And when was that?
It's hard for me to, I mean, it was right around, we'd have to look it up, when he did Lone Ranger. He seemed really kind of focused and wasn't drinking.
That's interesting. I read an article exactly then. Rolling Stone did a piece, and I don't know if you remember it. Actually, it's framed on his fucking office wall. Him in Tonto garb on the cover of Rolling Stone. He's
Oh
leaned
yeah, I
over.
like that cover.
In that article, he talks about being sober, and I didn't buy it then, but I guess he confirms he actually was.
Yeah.
That's I didn't even connect it.
Am I the only one? I want you to agree with me. Am I the only one that found him incredibly sexy as Tonto?
Well, you want me to sign off on that as a
Yes.
hetero? I think he looked good. I think it was a cool costume. I think he looked good as an Indian. I think he pulled off the Indian thing pretty well as a, fucking German Irish guy could from Florida and Kentucky. I think he looked as good as an actor's going to look as an Indian. It's not easy to do. But apparently, some people were offended by it. They
Oh,
thought
of
it was too
course. Many people were.
stereotypically cartoony and disrespectful. Like if the fucking, Cleveland Indians and Washington Redskins are offensive, then so is that.
Yeah.
I went to visit him, I believe it was New Mexico. Amber was there. Everything was like different. He was proud of it. He wasn't drinking. And I think he was smoking a little weed, but that was it.
And do you remember about what year that was?
Feeling it's 2013, but I'd have to look to see when Lone Ranger was.
Is there a time that you believe that Mr. Depp needed help with substance abuse?
As a friend, yeah.
And do you know who Dr. Kipper is?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And what do you know about Dr. Kipper in relation to Mr. Depp?
I don't have a strong opinion of Dr. Kipper, but I'll be as honest as I can.
You agree, Sarah? Dr. Kipper is a fascinating monofilament that runs through all of this.
I agree that the whole idea of Dr. Kipper is slimy.
You nailed it when you said Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, well,
I never knew what that meant when that.
He's the
Motley
new
Crue song
generation.
came out.
He's the newest generation of Elvis's doctor, Dr. Nick. It looks
And
just like him.
What's the story with the lingerie again?
With the what?
The lingerie.
Oh, for their wedding, he gave Amber Heard a negligee, which is creepy.
Did you say that? I think I had to have seen it too. He insisted on opening it for her or something, or
That I don't know.
he sent it to her when they were in Australia, and then she opened it.
No, I think it was for the wedding.
Oh, okay. So it was on the island, Deppstein Island.
She wore it in Australia.
Okay. It's just so fucking
he's the
weird.
typical over-tanned, white-haired, chiclet teeth.
Yeah, like right out of Melrose Place.
Yeah, Dr. Feelgood.
Like he would be like Jack Wagner's mentor on Melrose Place or something.
He was a doctor brought on, I believe, to help him get sober. He was a sober doctor. And I believe he had a nurse with Johnny and a nurse with Amber at the time.
Melvin's saving you into his phone entitled Nightcrawler.
Oh, so it's like opposite nickname day?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what, nicknames come from kind of breaking your balls as the opposite of what you are.
Yeah. Do you ever think that when you were watching the trial, I don't know how much attention you paid. You're getting your balls busted in the chat right now about your trial. But do you think that it was over? It's weird that they have a doctor, Johnny and Amber. They have a doctor, but each one of them has a separate nurse. Isn't it like just overkill and a way to overbill for services?
Yeah. It gives them exclusivity too, that they don't have to share they're not going to share information, or they're going to have their own, if they're ODing at the same time, who are you going to choose?
Yeah. You take a quick glance without knowing the details of both of their substance abuse issues. You take a quick glance at them and you think, oh, they're relatively young, healthy couple. Why do they each need like a private nurse attached to their
They're
side?
not a young couple. He's over
I
50 all
agree
throughout
with
that.
you, but if you take a quick glance, you just look at, he doesn't look like he's in need of a full-time nurse to be attached to his side all the time.
Right, but you're in his position, you can get away with being drug addled and a serial drinker and perpetually because you have the different residents. You're never driving, you never have to deal with a schedule, you never have to do any of the things civilians have to deal with. You just focus on your little projects and you can be drunk and high all the time.
Mhm.
What are the consequences exactly besides health? Like where exactly what's the downside other than straight up health? So the Dr.
Mhm.
Feelgood's going to take that away. You know what I mean? Like you're not dealing with anything civilians have to deal with. So you can there's the ground zero or the downside or the consequences is so minimal compared to a pedestrian who's an addict and you can throw
Mhm.
money at the problem. That's how that can go on that long.
I thought it was a scam. I thought it was a complete ripoff. But that's just me.
He's calling Dr. Kipper, Dr. Feelgood, a charlatan con man, that he had conned him. It's like if Depp is cured, you don't need him anymore.
But if that's true about the money that was ciphered from Depp by Witkin, and I don't know if it's true that Depp felt that way, do you think he's really taking anything Witkin says about Kipper ripping him off seriously? Or is it just inciting more anger in Depp as he sits there doodling?
Yeah, he's probably. I mean, he doesn't believe anything. He probably does disagree or push back on everything Witkin says at this point. But there might have been a time where he did agree. He might have. But if Depp is cured, if Depp has no substance problems, there's no Dr. Kipper, and that's
Mhm.
what's the ultimate gig for a doctor like him is this, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
taking you to his island and you have access to all this stuff. And if Depp has his shit together, you have no gig anymore. And
Mhm.
that goes with Nurse Lloyd as well. So you need a female and a male in terms of so you can get two different perspectives
Well,
to
and
deal
like
with it.
Kipper's, method for, he's this supposed addiction doctor, but a specialist, but his method for curing somebody of an addiction is to get them hooked on 4 more drugs in place of the one. So he's giving him like
Yeah,
lithium
that's exactly
and
right. I mean, I've been and it's someone who's been in and out of therapy his whole life or my adult life, certainly my late teens, and someone who's been on and off medication. There's that whole conspiracy theory about the pharmaceutical companies need you drugged up. It's like a psychiatrist is a glorified pharmacist and
Mhm.
they want you on those drugs. They make a cut. They want you, they get samples and they need the pharmaceutical companies push their shit on you all the time. They need you on their drugs.
Yeah. Let
What
me skip
happened
let me
if
skip ahead
everybody
in
was
chat.
cured?
Let me skip ahead in chat real quick. I'm sorry. Sue Monster says, "Hi all. I wasn't with you tonight, but you were all with me. Thank you for that. You are welcome here anytime, Sue Monster. Whenever you can join us."
She's at the okay, so yes, Sue Monster. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you for all your kind words in the comments all the time and in the gunk thread the other. You're such a sweet soul, and we're lucky to have you on every level. Make no
Mhm.
mistake.
Please bring up Exhibit 3. Okay, does this look like a true and accurate copy of this exchange?
Sarah, Barbara Bats the Rush. You know much more about MJ than I do.
Not really.
Michael Jackson went to a dermatologist every day for and they need is that true?
Probably. But if one thing to read if you ever want to Google it, his autopsy report. It's fascinating. Everything that was suspected by the tabloids in like the 80s and 90s about his body is true.
What's starting to creep me out, and I think you saw a lot of this too, is Depp and Michael Jackson seem to have a lot of the same fans.
Well, it's like that whole one story is fading, so they latch onto another one.
No,
This
but it's like a type of Deptford wife that latches
On the
on to
extreme
this
side,
kind of
yeah.
Peter Pan complex
See, I look at this
of the
and
two of them.
agree to disagree with all of you. If you're listening to this podcast, you're brave for doing so because we're not, ass kissers all the way with Depp. But one thing I can't get past, I can't get on the Michael Jackson bandwagon. I refuse to do so.
How do you mean the abuse stuff, the pedophilia stuff?
Yeah, I can't. I
Can't
cannot.
meaning you don't believe him or you do believe it.
There's too much there that
Yeah,
makes
yeah. Where there's
me.
smoke, there's almost always where there's smoke, there's fire. Even if he's having those, jammy part,
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that creeps me out too much. Even like you watch like I know people say the Bashir documentary was edited and it's not true. You watch the footage that they did show, it's so creepy to me. I
think most
cannot.
people are in your camp on that, Sarah. You're not an outlier saying that.
I have no patience for pedophilia. Let's just say that. And nor should
No.
anyone. But it's much harder for you to convince me you're innocent on that than it is, in a
right.
situation like this.
The Corey Feldman, Macaulay Culkin, jammy parties that incessantly come up over and over again. The
Yeah.
dude from Big Bang Theory, what the fuck is his name? Simon something or other, was in that as well. And you didn't know who he was until that show was fairly popular, And so there's just this litany of this gaggle of actors kind of who are now in their 40s and 50 who were part of this.
Chad, I'm sorry. Scott
What'd you
Baylor.
say?
Really? I find most pedos to be charming.
What's that, Norma?
Yeah, I'm glad people agree with me. I don't want to. I am harsh. I forgive no one for anything, and if I do, it's very rare. But sometimes I think that I'm too, unforgiving in my views.
Right.
So I'm glad Chat agrees.
You remember that Norm Macdonald Artie exchange where he says, there was a review on Dirty Work, and the reviewer said Artie Lang has all the charm of a date rapist, and Norm Macdonald supposedly was trying to make him feel good. I don't know if this could be a Bert Kreischer kind of fabulous story that Artie's trying to make Norm sound more amazing and profound, which a lot of people do. That maybe he never, because I've never heard Norm actually confirm this, and maybe he did. He goes, hey, that's great. Because to be a date rapist, you have to have a lot more charm than being a regular rapist.
Ugh.
And it's supposed to make him feel good.
Ugh.
So supposedly that dialogue did take place.
And regarding the lines, I'm real worried about.
You got Barbara DeRush on your side, Sarah. She says, no man is having kids over for sleepovers.
Yeah,
I don't care
exactly.
what the fuck. I agree.
I was at a sleepover as a kid. It was like an early teen sleepover, so I'm like 12. I packed a nightgown. I'm not.
Oh, did Dr. Kepper get it for you?
No, I'm thinking it was like a Christmas nightgown. So I'm just
Okay.
going over, gonna have fun with my friends. The dad is sitting on the sofa, like watching the girls, and he makes a comment to me. He goes, I can see through your nightgown.
Are you kidding me? You're
No,
12?
I called my father immediately. My father came over, said something to him. I don't know. They never told me what was said, and I never went back to that house again.
And what people don't realize is that man went on to start a media entity called Compound Media, and he goes by the name of Anthony.
No, I think about it's one of those few things that flash through your brain. You don't think about every day, but yeah, it's so creepy.
The chat appreciates. Thank you for your honesty, Sarah. You're very down to earth with your honesty.
At my own detriment.
Did you hear that spray? That throat spray?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need it. I truly needed it.
I think you're
him
thinking of
and this Dr. Kipper. What did you mean by that?
Like I said, I didn't trust this guy.
And were you ever worried about Mr. Depp's health?
I'm sorry, Barbara DeRush. Sarah agrees with you. The subway. I guess it was a New York subway. Didn't she say she lived in Albany? That doesn't mean she can't be.
A Subway restaurant, probably.
Oh, okay, an actual the subway.
Not all of us are New Yorkers.
The D train for Depp had a cardboard cutout of Johnny Depp for the Lone Ranger movie. Boy, he was looking good. Okay. So you're not alone, Sarah. You got Babs DeRush.
I would love to have that cutout. I'd put it on my wall behind my bed.
I bet you could find that if you looked on eBay.
Yeah,
at some
probably
point.
could if I think about
Guaranteed some Deptford wife has it.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I would be. I love the guy.
They're trying to. They want him like a reconciliation here.
Okay, does this look like a true and accurate copy of this exchange?
Yeah.
And regarding the lines, I'm real worried about him and this Dr. Kipper. What did you mean by that?
Like I said, I didn't trust this guy.
And were you ever worried about Mr. Depp's health?
Yeah, I mean, I would be, you know. I love the guy. You know? I didn't know what he was taking, but
no expression on Depp.
They just both seemed like zombies.
And why were you concerned?
Just because I saw how he looked and know what he's going through, and so yeah, I was concerned, but couldn't get back in there to try and help.
Were you nervous for him in relation to drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
So you did have some health concerns or not?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, we're not as young as we used to be, and you know, there was a part during that time that he was hitting it pretty hard. You could tell, and I just didn't want anything to happen to him.
And those concerns related to Mr. Depp's health?
Yeah.
And they related to Mr. Depp's drug and alcohol use?
Yes.
Back to Kipper for a moment. Do you know if when Dr. Kipper...
You said pause?
No, I said as he puffs. Sorry.
It sounded like you said pause it.
Oh, no. I remember watching this testimony. I like this testimony.
I do too.
It's interesting to me.
I wish he was on the stand though. It would have been incredible.
Yeah.
It captivates you more when they're there live. I don't know why. I don't know why the video thing takes away or it doesn't.
You zone out easily. I mean, especially if you're a juror.
Is it the echo or something where you just feel like you can, because he's not live, you can turn away and not give a shit?
Yeah, it's like you're watching a television show, maybe.
Yeah.
More. I don't know. But I always found this interesting. You know.
No, I said initially, while this is going on, the video testimonies need to be transcribed. You need to read those. Some of the early ones, remember they had the couples therapist in the beginning. I think it was day 2 or 3. She had a lot of crazy shit to say, but it was so muffled by that video translation that you're kind of just like, I mean, even when they're on Skype and live, like you would hear like the echo and the popping and it wouldn't resonate, even though she's saying profound shit.
Yeah, I know. But this is sad testimony, but at the same time, if he did what Depp believes he did, it's never going to happen. You're not going to get that friendship back.
Well, I have that. We did the. I read the Mr. Feeney did the money thing. I'm going to go to his part. Right after this.
Prescribed drugs. Would Mr. Depp also take anything else besides that? For example, would Mr. Depp drink alcohol or use other drugs in addition to prescription drugs?
G Canada writes, Arm, did you ever hear serotonin inhibitors don't do anything at all now? It was all a big scam. I did not see that, G Canada. I vaguely heard that and didn't follow. I did not see that. It does not surprise me. So all that shit was a waste. They tried to push on you. That's most doctors do. I think they can get kickbacks writing scripts. There's no doubt about it because there's so. I mean, I remember seeing a guy I literally spoke to him for 6 or 7 minutes, and he was not savvy enough to sum me up. He was not bright enough. He didn't know me. We had no rapport. There was no way, and he didn't come off as sharp at all. And he's writing, medication scripts. I'm like, this guy is not qualified. I don't care what degree he has. There's no way he's savvy enough to prescribe this.
I don't know your situation, but do you like your therapist? You've commented on that before. Your current
one,
therapist.
yeah.
Is he able to write prescriptions?
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's strictly dickly.
I don't need to know that.
And, he's a psychologist / therapist. They believe in not medicating people. They believe there's a deeper problem. That their thing is they want they want to get to the core of they don't believe in medicating you and they want to do the work.
I
They're not letting
agree
the
with that.
medication do the work. Some
Yeah.
people need medication, some people don't.
Well, and some people can't handle the feeling of being on the medication, and it just makes your life more miserable. It's like just putting a
Yeah,
Band-Aid over a bullet wound.
yeah, and then how long do you go where you have to figure out the right combination and what how long it takes sometimes to get that right, and what if you get it wrong? You wasted all that
I
time.
know, my mother went through the same thing back in the
Yeah,
day.
it's scary as hell, and that's why you want to avoid. You don't want to be beholden to it for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
But that's their first. It's a laziness. They're gonna say, okay, I don't know. Back then it was like lithium. There's actually a drug called Deppicode. That'd be great if he was on that.
I just want you to request that just for the name.
I did back
Oh
then.
God.
They gave you a choice. How about I'm like Deppicode? That sounds good. Is it spelled DEPP? He's like, because I don't know. It's not named after that. Like they didn't really know who
Did
he
you
was.
really
This is
say
like,
Johnny
oh
Depp?
yeah. This was
Oh.
during this was probably when Benny and June came out, or this is like just after Scissorhands. I was probably 20.
Oh.
And so I literally asked him, how do you get that name? Yeah, these drug names are stupid. Where do they come up with these names from? Why is that the name? Like, what is it? What is the derivation from? They have all these dopey names, Lexapro, like that's not after Lex Luthor. So I'm just like, and like that's clearly named after Johnny Depp. Deppicode, come on. And he's like, no, I don't know what it's. So I had this whole argument that it wasn't. Oh God, if
I
that was
don't know
paid.
what gives me harder and more violent douche chills. The Trident story, the Alec Baldwin push-up story.
I think it's cute. I think that qualifies me to be part of this podcast.
Are you
That I would
willing?
do that in
I
the
agree
early
with you
90s.
there, but are you willing to take a brain-altering medication, gambling on a brain-altering medication because it's called Deppicode?
Yeah, that's true. That is insane. You're
Let's
right.
rename this to the Deppicodes.
That's so funny. And I don't even know, I'm sure Melvin's on it right now, if that drug even exists anymore or it's antiquated now. It's called Deppicode. DeppokotE. I think is how you spell it. And I insisted they listed like what could, like a mood stabilizer or mood enhancer or something, and I was like, give me that.
My entire nervous system just shut down.
G Canada's gonna have fun with this.
I think he's laughing too
Yeah,
hard to type.
it's
2011 to 2016.
The answer would be yes. It just seemed odd to me that there was weed and wine and a soberness. Didn't make sense to me.
So he's saying the nurse Debbie Lloyd and Kipper have wine with the in their sobriety plan.
Yeah. I agree with the wine. I mean, you can give 100 different excuses as to why the wheat for him, why the marijuana would still be necessary.
I'm not gonna, like, if you think heroin and wine are the same fucking hot, you're crazy. Like, it's totally true. Like, I understand completely. And part of my drinking coach plan is that you can drink and not, drug addicts can still drink. And they go, oh, it's a gateway drunk. It's a gateway to doing drugs again. No, it's not. Not for everybody. It's not the same high. You know
Yeah.
how they go, yeah, I can drink. I love when people say that. I don't.
Mhm.
Okay, I kicked
Oh.
heroin and cocaine. I can drink.
Oh. Yeah. Sorry, I'm
People
talking
get
like
so
that.
freaked out.
And has Amber been nice to you since you've met her?
Amber was always very nice to me, yes.
And would you consider Mr. Depp to be a romantic person?
Yeah, I think
Only
so.
with me.
Speaking of which, David is a great post. He goes, I think Depp and Michael Jackson are both non-threatening males, and as
Yeah.
different as they are, the extreme fans are fragile souls that
Yeah.
respond to the non-threatening nature. And in my day, it was Bobby Sherman.
Yeah, I would say Ricky Nelson back in your day.
Fittingly, ironically, Depp was also up. Depp based his Willy Wonka character on Michael Jackson in Charlie and
Yep.
Willy Wonka. In Charlie
That
and
might
Chocolate.
be if you. It's a movie I forget about a lot, but if
I
you
do too. I always forget about it.
if you focus on it, watch a 5-minute clip. That might be his best performance.
it's underrated as far as just the comedic cartoon aspect of it, and to be able to get and to have the balls to play. Really, he's playing a pet. I mean, let's face it, he's playing a pedophile,
Yeah.
isn't he?
It is. It's got
And
that
it's
creep
Michael
vibe.
Jackson. Yes. And who was up for Edward Scissorhands?
Yeah. Oh God.
Michael
I
Jackson
try not
was.
to think about
They
that.
offered it to him and he turned it down.
Yeah. Good.
And why do you say that?
Just by the way I've seen him act, you know.
And have you noticed a certain intensity of Mr. Depp's relationships?
Yes.
And have you ever observed Mr. Depp exhibit any jealousy when he's been in a relationship?
Yes.
Here we go. Adamant.
And do you remember when?
I go all the way back to my sister-in-law. I mean, you can definitely have a...
Okay, let's say it again. Can't say this enough. His sister-in-law is Depp's first wife, Lorianne Allison, in 1985. And you can find their wedding pictures if you look. I mean, we'll maybe show them next time, but they actually have like a very, it's somewhat depressing, right, Sarah? Because it's one of those like, didn't you say your wedding was kind of like half-baked?
My wedding was more for my parents.
Right.
So
But it was
yes.
kind of like a VFW hall
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
This is what his looks like. There's just like a couple. There's like
Yeah, I know.
30. There's like 20 people, and they're
Yeah.
kind of just like high-fiving each other, and there's like a little cake, and it's kind of depressing because he's like 21 here. And
It's the typical back in those days. Way too early to get married. First
yes,
wedding.
she's older than him too. She's got him by 4 years, I think.
jealous streak in him.
Can you remember any specific examples?
You know, when he was younger, he was jealous of Nick Cage or jealous of Adam Ant because my sister-in-law knew them.
And was besides that initial time period, did he ever tell you about any jealousy with any other women or any other times?
Yeah. You know, he brought up a few with Vanessa, which were ridiculous. A lot of it was in his head and not in reality.
Wow, so he's jealous of, according to Witkin, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Which she seems like, I mean, who are we talking about? Lenny Kravitz and...
Yeah, and you know what though? I mean, if you confide in your friends who you think are your friends, any kind, you see something that makes you jealous, you confide in a friend. I don't really, doesn't mean he's a violent, overly jealous person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, totally. Pellel writes, psychologists are brain mechanics. Psychiatrists are pill pushers. Those meds killed my emotions. Like I was just about. That's pretty well said, Pellel, as usual. G Canada goes, yeah, exactly, Arm. I had a doctor talk about bath salts once. So I said, hey, wait, you can get high off that now? So, of course, you can get high that way. Nothing from her. Last visit, she was a dummy. Thank you for sharing, G Canada. It's a great story, actually. Arm, there's a DNA test you can take to tell what drugs help you mentally.
I don't think it's that easy.
Is it that easy?
No,
she's
I don't
probably
think
right.
it's.
I think it exists. I don't know if it's foolproof.
I doubt it is.
You
I
know?
think it would be happening more if there was something like that.
It would be that easy, right? It would
Yeah.
actually put them out of business.
It's a lot of here, take this and I'll cross my fingers. We'll see if it works.
Yeah. Well, they want to keep you they don't want you, they don't want to get it right away. They're going to keep changing and keep you on the hook. Yeah, Jason Kaplan's Lexapro. Jason Kaplan made Lexapro look pretty good. The confidence, but somebody brought Lexapro up the other night. What the fuck was I watching? Oh God, I forget. It had to be Kingdom. Ian is the drunk and famous on Deppicode. Melvin writes, Deppicode is actually still in use. This medication is used to treat seizure disorders, certain psychiatric conditions, manic phase of bipolar disorder, to prevent migraine headaches. Wow. So I didn't realize.
Let's get you on Deppicode.
For the migraines. Melvin hears anger. He hears angry arm in that. So Melvin doesn't want me on that because it might take away angry arm.
Please get on that. I'll double your dosage.
You know what I mean?
And what about with Amber? Did you ever encounter any talk from JD of jealousy with respect to Amber?
Yeah, there were a couple mentions if she was doing a movie with some guy or stuff like that.
In terms of jealousy, would anything make Mr. Depp more bothered or less bothered?
Like I said, it would if she was on a film or doing something that he couldn't be around it to see what was going on. I think.
LL says Lexapro is like a brain zap coming off Lexapro. It's like a brain reboot. I wonder what that's like. I've never been on Lexapro. I heard about it though during those years. It was always kind of lurking, but I was never on it. It was always, but they definitely had it. I remember seeing it. And I remember I had a friend who was a psychologist, but they would give her samples for some reason. She just had no, it wasn't samples. They would give her swag. So the drug companies were selling shirts.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's weird.
Beer coasters and shit like that. And she had this stuff at the house. And I remember seeing Lexapro in this design. They had like a
Like if they're giving you
pad.
if they're giving you samples, it takes weeks for a medication like that to kick in.
Yeah.
What's a sample gonna do?
I
A
don't
pack
know.
of 4?
I don't know. I think they were testing it. There might have been like, you know how these labs they do like they bring in test subjects for it to see what it does, and they keep you there under observation to see what it just to test it. You got to test it. Someone's got to be the guinea pig for it.
I think he'd work himself up, you know.
Can we please bring up Exhibit 6? And the very top.
Yeah, Melvin, Allison Stern, Allison Burns Simon, is in fact a licensed therapist, and she is on the network. And I think she takes most of the typical fucking benefit plan. And I looked, she's in Roslyn Heights, and I literally considered going just to pretend I knew not who she was, and I was going to play it and ask her Howard questions as she established trust.
Let this play for a bit.
I never did it.
Top line, if you can see that, Mr. Witkin.
Right.
Your name is in the participants column, and him or Mr. Depp is in the from column.
Right.
It's dated February 4th, 2014.
My birthday.
Did Mr. Depp ever tell you that he had a big fight with Amber at any time?
He would mention when. It has nothing to do. I think he needed that, and he needed therapy.
Text exchange between you and Amber. And do you have
I have a vague memory of him hanging at Vance's house for a couple of days.
Do you know what kind of professional help, more specifically?
I mean, yeah, to kind of clean up. I mean, he tried to clean up a couple times, and he did. I think he needed that, and he needed therapy. You know, and I recommended that to him. He did it a little bit, but then he stopped. Because from my experience, it's deep-rooted issues that he's dealing with. It has nothing to do with Amber. That's my opinion.
Okay. So you were referring to two types of professional help there. One was therapy and one was cleaning up for drugs. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Could we please bring up Exhibit 9? So this is actually a continuation of that same date exchange from February 3rd, 2014. And I'll give you a minute.
What he said there is fairly important to the case for Amber, because, and I think people just glossed over it. It never made any impact on the jury because it's so just the way these video things are presented. He just goes, I don't think Amber's the problem. His problems are far deeper and go longer than that. That's kind of what she's going for. I mean, that very thing is what she's not to blame for it. He's to blame for it. That's what she wants to hear. But it was so delivered so cavalierly, no Cleveland pun, that it's almost like the jury didn't even pick up on it. That is what they want him to say. He's her witness. He's Amber Heard's witness. You can't state that enough because it's so bizarre. to think that he would turn on him in such a way that is the ultimate defection in this way.
To read it, their text between.
And how is there any coming back to a friendship after this?
No, I agree. I don't think I could.
How could you?
Well, Depp's giving you the answer with the way he's sitting there, not even
Yep.
looking at him.
No expression, no matter what he says.
He's
No matter
done.
how cute reminiscing he's doing, he never looks up and grins and goes, "Yeah, I remember that." You'd think, look, at one point he would go, "Yeah, I remember that."
I
Nope.
think that friendship died the night of her birthday party in that meeting when he got the list of people that were ciphering money. If
People
that
in the
happened.
People in chat are relating to you. Barbara DeRush goes, "Yeah, both my weddings were really just a party." And G Canada goes, "LOL, I never had a wedding." Oh, G Canada, you deserve the best. If you wanted one, you deserve whatever wedding you want. If it's just a beer garden, whatever.
If I ever do it again, and I totally would, but it would be a drive-through wedding. I want Elvis to marry me.
You want to go to Vegas? Does it have to be in Vegas, or does that only?
I would go to Vegas because I've never been to Vegas, and I would have fun.
What does that cost to do that there?
A couple $100.
Okay. David goes, "We're all just jealous peers in our social circles at all times. It just means we're trying to place the thing where," I'm sorry, I'm blocking my own thing. "We're lacking in our own lives. It doesn't make us vengeful abusers." It's true. I forgot the vaping during this time. Now everyone's
You and
vaping all
Amber.
the time.
Right.
Do you think that you were going over there?
Oh, Barbara Drush, I was on Deppicode. I make no mistake. I was on it, and then I broke off I quit, fired the doctor because I did not like the effects of the other stuff. Was too drowsy. It didn't feel like it was myself.
Yeah,
And
why
I
would you
didn't
do
like the
that?
way. I didn't think he was. I didn't think the guy was naturally street level wise natural. I thought he had no natural ability for people and intuition. I thought he was a glorified pharmacist automaton, and I stopped it because I
Yeah.
didn't think I didn't think he deserved to tell me any of that. I didn't think he was qualified, despite any degrees he had.
Out of concern?
I mean, obviously, she was concerned, so I was concerned, and you know, going to Manson's would have been interesting because I don't know if he would have left. But I was trying to get there. I know it looks like I was trying to get through the Manson or find out where they were.
Okay. Can we pull up Exhibit 10, please? Do you remember this exchange?
Barbara Druss goes, "I was married 22 years to my first husband. He passed away, and now I'm married for 7. I'm sorry, Barbara. That's tough. That sucks. That's really. I know some people who've had spouses pass away way too young, and it is very, very tough recovery. I don't know if you ever do.
But I'm happy that you found another person after that
Me
that was
too.
good enough to marry again.
Is sort of part of a continuation of the last exchange?
Yeah, probably what I was doing is reaching out to the assistants to see.
Doesn't he get muted a few times, Sarah, during the thing, and
No, I don't know.
he gets like a redaction?
Physically abuse each other. No.
And did you correct, or is that wrong?
I've never seen them physically abuse each other. No.
And did you say this was at 3 a.m. when you called?
It was late. I can't exactly, but it was later than I imagined that I'd get a call. So I thought it was, something bad. So yeah, I went down.
So Stephen called at around 3 a.m. And then you went down, and your understanding, you went down after that call?
Yeah.
And what was your understanding of the reason you were called?
Yeah, it was just crazy arguing and stuff going on down there, and for some reason he thought I could help.
What was crazy about it?
Right, I mean, I think what was crazy to me is that's the first time that ever happened. The first time Stephen ever called me for help like that. Usually it's just to come and record or go do this or go do that, but for some reason he wanted me to come.
So his assistant Stephen Deuters calls Bruce Witkin to try to get him to officiate a fight these two had, and he's no business doing that. You could see here. Could you imagine this guy stepping in between you and
I
your
know.
significant other and trying to act like a fucking marriage therapist? He can barely get through this. Pellel
Yeah.
writes, "Hey, I got my friend a job when he lost his. When he was going through a divorce, I moved in with him. He
No,
repaid me by cheating with my wife.
he
Lesson
moved
learned.
his
Fuck
friend
her."
in, and then his friend
Oh,
cheated
with
with
him. I'm
Pell's
sorry. He
wife.
moved right.
Pell, are you
That
still
sucks,
married to
Pellel.
her? Because that's who I'd have the problem with.
You know, you just don't. There's just some people just are whatever's in front of them. They have no allegiance at all, and it's not
I
you.
think as a wife, that loyalty between a husband and wife outweighs anything that a friendship brings with it.
Yeah, she just never right. She just
If you're
not. She
still
just.
married to her, I'm glad you worked it out. But otherwise,
G. Canner writes, "We never gave a shit about a wedding, Arm. It just never mattered. We made a commitment to each other just
I
between us. It's
agree.
private. Good for you, G. Canner. That's the way it should be."
Yeah, my wedding, my dad got to walk me down the aisle. I let them do what they wanted. They played their country music as I walked down the aisle as I cringed. It was for them. The next one is going to be me, whatever I
You're
want to
welcome,
do.
Barbara DeRush. Anytime. Anytime.
Of course, you're one of
Our
our
pleasure.
greatest. You're one of our most beloved chatters.
And it gets me to say Babs, which I love
I know you
shortening
enjoy that
Barbara
too
for that. I
much.
do. I love shortening Charlie with Chaz too. I always thought there should be a sitcom called Chaz and Babs. Monique should go see Allison as a shrink of the opine about the issues with her husband and kin. Yes, David, it's good. And see what her take is. I think they'd get along famously. I think Allison Stern is beloved too. I think in our circles, she hits the Billy West, Beetlejuice, Casey Armstrong category. Mark Harris of beloved.
And when Steve had called you,
By the way, the other night, Sarah, I don't know if you listened to our show. Did you hear? So I played a clip of Howard meeting Beth in 1997, which I believe is to be her. Can you imagine the situation was reversed if Howard talked in 2022, if Howard talked about that way about somebody else and you substitute Beth for Allison, how crazy she would go. If he talked that way about Beth, then he talked about Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine how insane Beth would get?
Yes, I can.
The abuse Allison used to take on the air. If Beth took 1/30th of that, how bad it would get.
You get a glimpse into that when you watch the Instagram videos.
That's true.
I get a poopy
did
stick.
he
What?
make any references to
You watched the
anything
last
being
one?
thrown around?
That I don't remember.
Pause it.
No.
We'll get back to this in a second. Did you watch the last Instagram video?
I think which one now?
Did you get? And he's talking to her. He's trying to deepen his voice artificially, of course, as he does when he's doing an Instagram video with her.
They're
He's
so
like,
similar.
"Do you have your EpiPen?" And the
Yeah,
way he
yeah,
said
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like,
The Darth Kermit modulator is not on the Instagram.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, she's. I have my poopy pen. You
Yeah.
want to throw your phone.
I know. Why the terrorists hate us? I say it all the time.
You want to throw your phone at her, and then when she's bent over, you want to kick her in the.
If there's another 9/11, you can blame Beth's Instagram.
Oh God.
Let's hope there is.
No.
Yes.
No,
And
shush.
it's aimed right at 17 Squabble Lane. Becomes the new Twin Towers
Hush.
Castle Gay Skull.
Hush. Stop.
Oh, you.
2019 Johnny Depp versus.
Okay.
Okay, so he just comes on, wish we could be friends again. And I'm going to end this by playing a crazy throwback clip from a gentleman who has a YouTube channel, which he posts videos of the fucking kids from the early 80s.
What song?
So this is Johnny Depp in 1981, 17 years old, with the kids in exactly what he's describing.
Okay. After that, don't forget to play the close.
Okay, I just want to.
Okay. All right.
So you get to see a 17, 18-year-old Depp here. God.
Fair use, fair use.
No, you're not gonna get it for this. That's fine. This is So this dude apparently looks like what he did is he took his cell phone camera out and videotaped his TV screen. So
Okay.
he must have had this on VHS and he didn't know how to convert it.
All right.
So this is 1981. The kids they're playing. I believe That's What I Like About You.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like the riff to you?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, I'm wrong.
But it sounds like a knockoff of it. Doesn't it sound like the same riff and
Well,
everything?
let's see what happens here.
That's Bruce Witkin. See
Okay.
that? That's him. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
That's 41 years ago, the guy you just saw.
I was 3 years old. Oh my God.
The Romantics, right, Barbara DeRush? Again, South Florida, 1981. Look at the broad dancing. They got a couple people dancing. Oh, it's not a
guy.
Look at this guy's hair. Look at this guy. David goes, that's some chord progression on this. That's What I Like About You. It's the same exact key. David, you're absolutely right. But they covered. Oh my God.
Get to the good part. Where's Depp?
Okay. See him?
Yeah.
He's on the right playing harmonies. Now it's 1981, so don't expect 4K. There he is. There he is.
Is that him playing that?
Yes, yes. Is that Ralph Macchio?
Okay. I don't know. I can't tell. It's blurry.
Is that Scott Bill? Is that Scott? You can tell it's him, right?
No, you can't. But
No, well, this is what I say about long hair with him. He had never had long hair until he was in his fucking 30s. It was not at all on the menu. It's not a part of his. I think long hair looks hideous on him. It was always short hair when it counted, and this is when the band's making its bones. So he never had long hair. I don't know how people think that he's. Now you can see that lazy guitar style.
I see a Depp there now.
Now you can see it. It never looks like he's playing. Look at this. Look at that. You know that comedian Dennis Wolfberg?
Is he bald on top?
Yeah, yeah. You remember that comedian Dennis Wolfberg? Doesn't it look
No,
like that
I
guy?
don't.
Oh, okay.
There's a clown in the front row.
Yeah, it's like Danny Bonaducci and Dennis Wolfberg.
Danny Bonaducci's wig fell off. Krusty.
That's it, Affy. Right,
Perfect.
Krusty the Clown and Danny Bonaducci had a kid. That's perfect, Affy. playing sound?
Can't tell.
That's just, you can't tell. I can never. We can
He
leave Bon
might just
Jovi
be
alone on
like
this.
a
It
strong.
never looks like he's playing.
Looks like he has a black eye, but he looks like he's
Did Betty
not
Sue give him a
rhythm
black eye there,
guitar.
Sarah?
What?
Did Betty Sue give him a black eye there?
Is this too early for Lori? Not that.
No. Yeah, it is too early for her. Maybe
Okay.
Garcelle Beauvoir did when he asked her out at 15, 16 years old.
Kissed him so hard his eye exploded.
That is a black eye, right? Is it?
I don't know. The lighting is putrid.
The Amber Heard jokes flying on this, but it certainly looks that way.
No.
They certainly want to spotlight him. Isn't it kind of strange that the light's on him? I guess during a solo, but still, like he's sort of. They really want to showcase him.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. I still can't tell if he's the one playing. Oof.
Wow, I'm so fascinated by that clip. That's the youngest footage I think I've ever seen of him.
Mm-hmm. I've never saw a picture of him as an infant before.
Yeah, he's a cute kid. He's a really like a
I'm talking
cartoon
about
character.
almost a newborn. I saw a picture on Twitter. I don't know where they found it.
Okay, this is actually this one here. This is what I like about you, and I think this is the MTV audition.
Okay.
It sounds exactly like this song. David's right. That chord progression.
Fair use, fair use. Transformative content, fair use.
Okay, you see this?
Yes.
They're sending this to MTV.
Okay.
I'm going to try to skim through it. I don't want to bore you with it. We'll end with this.
Fair use. I had that tape player.
This is you see this with the MTV thing and the kids, they have their own fucking button.
Look how we belong on MTV.
Okay, these are the names. They spelt it wrong. He spelt his own. Joey Malone, Bruce Witkin put an H in front of his name, which I bet you is deliberate. It's not. It's Witkin. So he throws an H in there for some reason.
Mysterious.
Here's what I think. I think he stole the H that was originally in Akeem Olajuwon and put it in his own name.
God. It all goes back to that.
Remember Akeem didn't have an H? And
yes. I have his card with the Akeem.
So stupid. Now he needs an H. There's Depp and there's Bino Hunty. Oh, his names are weird. Okay, so this is April 3rd, 1982 at the Agora Ballroom, which I believe is
VCR white noise matches our podcast white noise.
Why does it got to be white?
Black noise.
Why that shit got to be white? There you go, David. Now we know there's no mistake in this.
Is he shirtless?
Depp?
No, under that jacket.
Depp's got the wife beater. I mean, he's got the cut off sleeves.
Okay, no, he has a shirt. Fair use.
Fair use in my fair use. You can't get a copyright for that.
Yeah.
It's their cover of. There's no way that sloppy cover. There's no way that's. I'm very confident. I'll be totally cocky. That's it.
You can write up the dispute.
Okay, here's Depp's. He's wearing a Biohazard
Much
t-shirt.
better
Look at this
picture.
shit.
Okay.
Look at this. Do you remember Biohazard? It was like
yes.
there were some kids in my high school occasionally would run around in that shirt. They thought that was so cool. We'll play Depp's guitar solo and then cut out. That'll be it.
Oh, his hair's very cute.
I like that pompadour rockabilly do on him.
It is crybaby hair though, so that's one strike.
Sarah, is he playing or am I crazy? I don't hear a single thing coming out of that. David, is he playing anything?
I don't know.
I can't match it with anything. His arms are always
it's very low. He's not the lead guitarist.
I guess he's not. He's like a rhythm guitarist.
I don't know.
That's Bruce Witkin. So that's who we just watched.
He is a very handsome boy.
He's toned up here. He's in good shape here. He looks like he doesn't look like a runt or a chump. He's about 5'11", 5'10" and a half.
That facial bone structure is perfect.
People like the sets are due in the chat. G Counter. He's a shit musician.
Oh.
Yeah, Dorian Morgan goes, yeah, he's fumbling along on the lead. Okay. I think Dorian knows a lot more about guitar than I do.
I can't match it though with the
Looks like
sound.
Brian Setzer hair, Barbara DeRush, Pony Boy Poser, says Affy. Same key as the other song, the F major. Thank you, David.
Call him Pony Boy.
I love when I don't know anything about like notes or anything. Is that a D minor or that's got to be an F major?
He never would have looked at me at this age though. In high school, he would have just like ew and walked
Didn't
by.
you flash
Dave Navarro?
Dave Navarro, right. At a what was the show?
Chili Peppers.
Okay. How many
In
bands did Dave
96.
Navarro play with?
4.
Yeah, they're all big. He actually seems like a cool guy. Every time I see
He's
an
like a
interview with
fill-in
him, I like him.
guitarist most of the time. He just like comes in when they lose their guitarist.
Every time I see that guy in an interview, I kind of like him. He seems like I don't know, he comes off like
Got a lot of issues, but they're understandable. His mother was murdered,
Really?
Yeah, by a ex-boyfriend.
I guarantee you he has some history with Depp. I guarantee you he was a Viper Room staple at some point.
Well, there's a video of him testifying at his mother's murder trial.
Hey.
Yeah, he had a rough life, and he became, insanely addicted to heroin for a long time.
Just like you. So I want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging with us during this down to the early 80s and Bruce Witkin and our Viper Room special number 4. Next week is a very special Deppening where we're going to have Richie Albertini, who used to work at the Viper Room. He is a piece of work, to say the
He
least.
still hasn't emailed us, so we'll see.
Okay, we'll see what happens. I don't want to oversell it. I definitely don't want to do that. Tomorrow, fantasy football. I believe the draft is 8:00 Eastern time, 5:00 Pacific time. If it goes on at all. If I don't get 12, I'm not doing it.
Please post the link in the description of this video. When you write it up.
I guess I could. Oh, okay. Later on, I could do it. Yes. I can't do it now. It's too. I got to change Google accounts to do that.
Okay.
It's not in the. It's in my other Google account.
Okay.
In order to have the actual link to the thing. I know David's going to be the first one to join. Imagine David in the Fantasy Football League.
Yes, please. So I don't have to join.
David's going to start the Danny Depp book next week. That's so great. So there's another show. There's show in the can. And the Depp round table with our panel of newbies.
And we have Feeney's Erotica Wednesdays.
Yes, on the Patreon, Feeney Erotica Wednesdays, and I'm going to post some I have 20 hours of Mark Harris audio in a row and videos, whatever you want. I'm just toying with, because I have so many things. Sometimes I get scrambled. I don't know what to post because there is so much.
You have plenty
and again, the
of time,
Patreon's for what's blocked on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I put up the good stuff. It's always good stuff Howard's afraid of, and then various Depp videos akin to this. Rodney, I was hearing voices coming out. But Rodney, by the way, Rodney equated fucking Jesus Christ, Rochelle Hathaway to Tracy Pollan, Michael J. Fox's wife, Tracy Pollan on.
Oh, I see that.
He looks exactly like her. He's absolutely spot on with that.
It's a good comparison.
What do you think?
One could be the other's grandmother.
At this, Rodney sings. I'm going to play this next time.
It's a great
Rodney
song.
sings.
I interrupted it. Sorry.
And in the moment, you just don't love me. That's where I learned that song.
That was one of the greatest. That was one of the greatest early montages of my young adult life. When Michael J. Fox had to say goodbye to his girlfriend, played by Tracy Pollan on Family Ties.
You just don't love me, no. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Rochelle Hathaway is Depp's side piece that he cheated on Amber Heard with, and deservedly so. And she's like this blogging, private jet flight attendant, Instagram model. She was a gun model for what? So many. She was a yoga instructor. Amber brings her up in some of the audio, and they had so she's on Instagram, and Rodney's likening her to Michael J. Fox's actual wife back in the day, Tracy Pollan, right? Pollan.
Yes. We have a new beloved chatter. Her name is Shannon.
Shannon, welcome. She's at the end. We're at the 3 hour and 47-minute mark. Shannon says, hi, y'all. Shannon here representing the Deppination here. Tuning in for the first time. We'll be returning again. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for tuning in at all. Please go watch our backlog. This is Viper Room series number 4. And next week, we're going to be interviewing Viper Room employee from the 90s, the very controversial Richie Albertini, who is a little pushback, but we can handle it.
And please join us again in chat if you can.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you again, Shannon, for finally tuning in. Please stay on for the duration. If you have any show, if you want to be on the show, let us know. We're going to be doing a Depp panel in maybe next week.
We don't require cameras. We don't believe in that. If you don't,
you don't have to be on camera. You don't have to be on camera. Right? She's a Burning Man chick. Thank you, Rodney. Amber is a trashy, dirty Coachella clout chaser. That's exactly right. She's that Burning Man. She's in Hawaii. She's in Alaska. Rochelle Hathaway on Instagram. You will know exactly what Rodney's talking about when you look her up. Vindicate hashtag Amber's IQ is higher than arms. That gets me every time.
Shannon, G Canada gives us a bad time with the pro Amber hashtags. I don't really think he believes it.
We have a couple of contrarians, Shannon, in the chat, and G Canada and NA are one of them. They're like, I don't know. It's kind of wrestling shtick where they're pro Amber Heard, but G Canada will push back. And
That's
so one
all
of his hashtags is Amber's IQ is higher than arms.
Don't let us run you off, by the way.
Thank you, Fine Chug. You will be in the chat. David, thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. I love you all. This is Arm for Sarah saying, no time is a good time for goodbyes. And I will play the brand here to end it. It is called what, Sarah? The outro?
Yes.
So Sarah put together this beautiful outro of Depp doing magnanimous humanitarian things.
More to come this weekend.
I'm sure you'll love it.
Such is the way of the world, you can never know just where to put all your faith and how will it grow. Gonna rise up.